Chapter 837, Chapter 395, Heading to the Abyss Ruins /3. They weren't planning to enter the Abyss Ruins, but rather to wait outside for Lu Yi and his party to emerge, so in case anything unforeseen happened, they could reach them in time. Even the three remaining immortal venerable ancestors of the Yu family, who were in seclusion and preparing for a breakthrough, had followed them there. Given that the Abyss Ruins were a cosmic forbidden zone with a notorious reputation, even though the few people including Lu Yi possessed immortal king-level combat power, they still didn't dare to be careless. Unable to enter, they also hoped to wait outside. The heavenly boat drew near to a metallic fortress, with several other heavenly boats coming to meet them. Lu Yi's gaze swept across them, noting that some of the heavenly boats seemed to be made of crystal, looking extremely luxurious. Has Yi ever seen the cultivators of the Crystal Spirit Star Domain? These are the heavenly boats of the Crystal Spirit Star Domain, Yu Xin explained. Lu Yi looked at the heavenly boats that seemed like works of art with a curious smile. I haven't seen them. Aside from the last time I went to help the Red Immortal King find his kin, I've basically never left the Sky Falling Star Domain. Yu Boyan beside him laughed. Ha ha ha, Yi, you just haven't been cultivating for long and your talent is exceptional. You can break through realms by just cultivating normally. Even in the Yu family, many cultivators at the Golden Immortal realm, once they reach a bottleneck and can't break through, will go out to gain experience and seek opportunities for breakthroughs. Yu Yuanyu and others beside him nodded slightly, their gazes towards Lu Yi indescribably strange. After all, cultivators like Lu Yi who had reached the Immortal Venerate realm and joined the ranks of the universe's top powerhouses in merely 10,000 years. They had not only never met but hadn't even heard of such a feat. Not to mention reaching Immortal Venerate in 10,000 years, managing to ascend to Immortal was already impressive. Even cultivators with strong bloodlines, born as a heavenly immortal or even a true immortal, couldn't possibly break through a great realm in 10,000 years. It seemed only Lu Yi could accomplish this right. To reach such heights in such a short period was no wonder he didn't need to go out and gain experience. Just by secluding himself for cultivation, he had everything he needed. When Lu Yi heard Yu Boyan's words, he felt somewhat wistful as he thought back to when he just got the system and hadn't absorbed the Taoist energy and chaos qi yet. His talent and foundation weren't that great, and back then, he still needed to leave and gain experience. Later on, his talent grew increasingly higher, his cultivation speed soared like flight, and with the Jiyu battlefield dungeons available for farming, he was never short on resources. Why would he need to venture out? If it weren't for the threat of the Jiyu demons, he reckoned he could have continued his seclusion all the way to Immortal Emperor. As they were conversing, the heavenly boats that came to greet them stopped nearby, and a few cultivators flew out. Lu Yi's eyes scanned them, spotting cultivators from the Sky Falling Star Domain, both the human clan and the demon clan, as well as cultivators from the Crystal Spirit Star Domain. The Crystal Spirit clan was very peculiar, just like their heavenly boats, made entirely of crystal, looking like art sculptures without standard facial features. The cultivators from the Sky Falling Star Domain were all at the Immortal Monarch realm, and to his surprise, there were even 2 members of the Crystal Spirit clan at the Immortal Venerate realm, with the rest being Immortal Monarchs. The 2 Crystal Spirit clan Immortal Venerables and the other Immortal Monarch powerhouses offered their respectful salutations together. We greet the senior Immortal King. Yu Xin smiled gently as she explained, news of the emergence of an Immortal King from the Yu family has spread out. Because the universe is so vast, the news hasn't traveled very far yet. However, several nearby star domains have already heard of it, and some have already sent people to negotiate, hoping to meet the Immortal King. Chapter 838, 396 Creatures in the Abyss Ruins. Chapter 838, Chapter 396 Creatures in the Abyss Ruins. Lu Yi had a sudden realization in his heart, but it came as no surprise. After all, the tribulation crossing event of Elder Yu Qing, Yu Xuanyi, and Elder Yu Yunqing had caused quite a stir, and the nearby forces must have noticed something. With such a commotion coming from the heavenly tribulation, it was clear that it wasn't at the immortal venerable level. With a bit of thought, they would have understood the situation. However, the Yu family had never intended to conceal this, as having an immortal king was not something that needed to be hidden. If it were not for the consideration of the awakening Jihu demon god, the Yu family would likely have already started a war, seeking to bring more star domains and resources under their control. This also had to do with Lu Yi. The breakthrough to the Immortal King realm by Yu Cheng and others meant they required substantial cultivation resources, and only Lu Yi possessed such an abundant supply, which could be provided for Yu Cheng and the others' cultivation. Otherwise, even just for more cultivation resources, Yu Cheng and the others would have no choice but to conquer more star domains. And all these source stones were transformed from the Jiyu demon that surged out from the Jiyu channels. The group left the heavenly boat, and upon seeing Yu Cheng and the others, the immortal venerable ancestors of the Crystal Spirit clan greeted them with even more respect upon sensing the profound aura emanating from their beings. Yu Cheng smiled and said, "There's no need for such formalities, please rise." The immortal venerables and immortal monarchs of the Crystal Spirit clan stood up, but their hearts were somewhat uneasy. Originally, when they heard that an immortal king had emerged within the Yu family, they were somewhat incredulous. After all, for so many years, no immortal king had ever appeared in the universe. How could one suddenly emerge, and three at that? However, after inquiring through various channels, they learned about the Tao Tide brought about by Lu Yi's breakthrough and the various relationships between Lu Yi and the immortal venerables of the Yu family. As a result, their hearts gradually sank, and they began to believe it. They had been worried that after the emergence of three immortal kings within the Yu family, they would swallow up the Crystal Spirit star domain and make the Crystal Spirit clan their vassal. But to their surprise, the Yu family did not show such inclinations. This alleviated some of their concerns. They just hadn't expected that this time, the immortal kings of the Yu family would suddenly decide to venture into the Abyss ruins, leading the ancestors of the Crystal Spirit clan to suspect the Yu family had other ulterior motives, compelling them to wait here and prepare. Yu Cheng continued, "This time we are planning to enter the Abyss ruins. Why have the friends from the Crystal Spirit clan also come? Are they really planning to enter the Abyss ruins?" The various powerhouses of the Crystal Spirit clan were a bit stunned, as they had assumed the Yu family had another purpose. After all, the Abyss ruins were located at the border between the Crystal Spirit star domain and the Sky Falling star domain, which could serve as a pretext for a dispute. Now it seemed, were they truly heading for the Abyss ruins? The cultivators of the Crystal Spirit clan exchanged glances, and then thought that the Yu family had produced as many as three immortal kings. Such powerful cultivators, even if it was a cosmic forbidden zone, should presumably be free to come and go, right? With this thought, an immortal venerable of the Crystal Spirit clan quickly said, "We wish to behold the grandeur of the immortal kings and had the intention of visiting Jade Star, but we were worried about disturbing the cultivation of the esteemed immortal kings. Now, with this opportunity, we naturally wanted to meet with the elders." The expressions of Yu Cheng and the others were somewhat amused as they glanced at the speaking immortal venerable. They were originally immortal venerables of the Yu family and had naturally dealt with the immortal venerables of the Crystal Spirit clan quite a bit. The immortal venerable from the Crystal Spirit clan, named Zai Li, was not known for a good temper, but now he turned out to be quite respectful. Still, they didn't say much else, merely responding with a smile, "It's the thought that counts." The cultivators from the Crystal Spirit clan and the immortal kings then exchanged a few pleasantries before everyone proceeded to the campsite outside the Abyss ruins. Afterward, Yu Cheng and the others gave a few instructions to the cultivators of the Yu family, made final arrangements, and then joined Lu Yi on the journey towards the Abyss ruins. The cultivators of Sky Falling Star Domain and Crystal Spirit Star Domain all stood suspended in the vacuum, watching as Lu Yi and the others departed, their expressions quite complicated. This was the first time that an immortal king entered the Abyss ruins, and the secrets hidden within this cosmic forbidden zone might be unveiled during this journey. Lu Yi, Yu Cheng, Yu Xuanyi, and Yu Yunqing were moving extremely fast, rapidly closing in on the Abyss ruins. The surrounding darkness grew denser as they neared the ruins. Lu Yi swept his gaze around and found that the darkness here was different from the Jiyu Qi, lacking an especially thick evil aura. What most surprised Lu Yi was that the space here was extremely peculiar. The distribution of spatial lines was highly irregular. As they approached the Abyss ruins, the space seemed to have experienced a strange fracture, separating the massive rift from the universe itself. This was somewhat akin to a self-created small world, but such a world naturally could not be directly viewed with the naked eye like the abyss ruins, nor be so vast. As Lu Yi curiously surveyed the surroundings, Yu Cheng explained, "We have not fully entered the abyss ruins yet, and we're not even at the outskirts. There's no great danger here, but the space is very unstable. Spatial fissures appear from time to time, and cultivators who have been swallowed by them have never come out." Yu Xuanyi grinned and said, "Year, since you have mastered the space origin, you should be able to spot some issues here, right?" Lu Yi's gaze flashed with mysterious Tao patterns and he nodded. "Yes, the space here is indeed very odd. I can't imagine how the abyss ruins were formed." If it were indeed, as he suspected, that the abyss ruins were the manifestation of a small world, then to bring a small world to such a state, not even an immortal king could achieve it. Chapter 839, 396 Creatures in the Abyss Ruins 2. Chapter 839, Chapter 396 Creatures in the Abyss Ruins /2. Could this be the doing of an immortal emperor-level powerhouse? As soon as Lu Yi considered the possibility that the abyss ruins might be related to an immortal emperor, his heart grew heavier, and he reminded, "Elder ancestors, I suspect that the emergence of this place has a certain connection with an immortal emperor, so we must focus on safety." Upon hearing this, Yu Xuanyi and the two others were taken aback, and even Yu Yongqing's calm face showed a trace of astonishment. An immortal emperor. Wasn't this the domain of Fate Immortal King? Earlier, information brought out by the residual shadow of Red Flame Immortal King was naturally understood by the ancestors of the Yu family. They had originally thought that the birth of this place might be related to that Fate Immortal King, but now it seemed that it might not be the case. This added a few shades of gravity to their mood. The spatial structure here doesn't seem like something that an immortal king could have created," Lu Yi said, his expression serious. The three ancestors of the Yu family nodded, indicating they understood. The four of them became even more cautious and careful. Quickly, they passed through the most chaotic border that seemed to cleave reality, and entered the interior of the abyss ruins. Just as they entered, Yu Xuanyi's pupils shrank slightly, his body enveloped by an illusory world, and then he vanished from his spot instantly. At his original location, space suddenly collapsed, forming a space vortex. The space vortex was wild and unruly, emitting spatial storms so fierce that even Yu Xuanyi, at the Immortal King realm, slightly furrowed his brows. Even they felt a certain danger. "This place is so dangerous. If I were still an immortal venerable, that moment just now would have left me seriously injured if not dead," Yu Xuanyi couldn't help but complain. Lu Yi glanced at the space vortex, his eyes flowing with mysterious Tao light as he scanned the surroundings. He found that the space within the abyss ruins was even darker than usual space, unlike any vacuum, devoid of stars, light, and warmth. However, as a powerhouse at the Immortal King level, even in complete darkness, he could still see clearly. Lu Yi could see that the entire space was scattered with numerous wrecks. These wrecks included vast tracts of continents, shattered planetary fragments, strange structures, and even heavenly boats. The entire region was deathly silent, like a graveyard. In this region, space was even more chaotic than outside. Some areas had intact spatial lines 1 second, but the next they would collapse and form a space vortex. The space vortex that Yu Xuanyi had encountered appeared in such a way. Lu Yi exhaled and said, "The space here is even more chaotic than outside. Even I can't completely predict the changes in space. Elder ancestors, please stick close to me." Since Lu Yi had mastered the space origin, although he couldn't predict the dynamics of this strange space, he could reinforce the nearby space in its entirety, preventing the sudden collapse and formation of space vortexes. Yu Xuanyi and the others nodded and drew closer to Lu Yi. With the Taoist energy surging inside Lu Yi, he reinforced the space around them, and only then did Yu Xuanyi and the others look around. Seeing the dense ruins around them, their expressions remained very calm. As immortal venerables, they had witnessed countless carnages and bloodshed. Such sights were not enough to disturb them. "It seems there is no living being here," Yu Cheng observed as a massive fragment of a planet slowly passed by not far away. In the next moment, the planet's interior suddenly collapsed into pieces, collapsing towards the center as if being devoured by something terrifying. After the planet wreckage disappeared, only a space mystery remained. The space vortex that devoured the planet wreckage was precisely this. The space vortex existed for a moment before suddenly converging, and space returned to tranquility as if it had never collapsed. Yu Cheng retracted his gaze and looked towards other areas. Yu Xuanyi and the others also observed their surroundings, remaining quite vigilant. Yu Yunqing replied, "This is a cosmic forbidden zone. Over the years, very few of the many powerful beings who have entered have been able to leave alive, so of course, there's hardly any living being here." Yu Xuanyi quirked his lips. "That's not necessarily true. Didn't Year previously see Jiyu cultivators bringing a boatload of cultivators into this place? Who knows if they've died?" That was one of Lu Yi's purposes for entering the Abyss ruins this time. He too was curious about the current state of the Jiyu cultivators who had entered before, and he chuckled. "This is still the periphery of the Abyss ruins. I'm afraid we'll have to go deeper into the Forbidden Zone." The others nodded in agreement. Yu Cheng chuckled lightly. "You can go check those wrecks to see if there are any clues. Let's start with that heavenly boat." The group flew towards a quietly floating heavenly boat in the distance. The heavenly boat was already damaged, its formations long since ineffective, and even the hull itself had developed numerous cracks. Lu Yi, through the formations, deduced that this heavenly boat was close to the level of an acquired spirit treasure. However, after a long period of time, even the material itself had begun to decay, not to mention anything else. It was now junk. After entering the heavenly boat, Lu Yi and his companions searched the entire vessel and found almost nothing inside, just an empty shell. Yu Cheng and the others weren't surprised. This abyss ruins has existed for so many years. Although the periphery is said to be dangerous, even immortal venerates, as long as they are still lucky, can survive. This heavenly boat must have been visited by many people. "Let's go deeper." The party turned into streaks of light, cautiously yet swiftly flying towards deeper regions. Along the way, Lu Yi and his companions carefully examined any object they encountered. On the shattered fragments of planets, there was desolation. The vast majority showed no signs of life, but some bore traces of encampments. Obviously someone had stayed here before. After some discussion, Lu Yi and his companions concluded that these were traces left by cultivators who had entered the abyss ruins to rest and repair. And those things like the heavenly boats and palaces that should have contained life were basically turned into empty husks, with virtually nothing valuable inside, most likely taken by others. In fact, even if the things from before still existed, Lu Yi didn't think there would be much value to them. After all, even the materials used to create the heavenly boats and palaces had nearly rotted away, and it was feared that other things would be no exception. Time is the greatest force. With Lu Yi reinforcing space, the most dangerous thing in this area was the irregularly appearing space vortexes, which posed no threat to them anymore. The party explored with ease. Just then, space in the distance suddenly shattered, and a creature that flowed with silver brilliance, resembling a leopard with 4 legs, surged out from a space vortex. It exuded a terrifying pressure and charged towards Lu Yi and the others. As the silver leopard neared, Lu Yi felt the space he had reinforced being compressed. Clearly, this leopard-like creature could control space, and sought to compress it to attack Lu Yi and his team. However, Lu Yi's mastery was over the space origin, and naturally, he would not lose to a silver leopard in this regard. Even so, Lu Yi still widened his eyes in astonishment, perfect level space law, and at the immortal venerate realm. He hadn't expected that such a powerful monster could exist within the abyss ruins, its cultivation base having reached the immortal venerable level, not to mention that even the law it mastered had reached perfection, particularly the space law. In other words, once this leopard left the abyss ruins, it would certainly be considered one of the most top-notch beings outside. If even Lu Yi was startled, needless to say about the others from the Yu family. They too were incredibly surprised that such a formidable monster existed within the abyss ruins. No wonder this place was so dangerous. If a cultivator who entered the abyss ruins encountered this leopard, chances are that very few would be able to escape. After all, in terms of speed, the space law could be said to be the most potent. What could be faster than traveling through space? However, astonishment aside, they didn't feel much tension. After all, the Yu family ancestor present was at the immortal king level, and although Lu Yi was said to be an immortal venerate, his combat power might even exceed that of the Yu family ancestors. Yu Cheng gave a light snort and reached out to grab the silver leopard, unleashing the formidable presence of the immortal king level, ready to trap it in an illusory world. At that moment, when the silver leopard sensed Yu Cheng's aura, its silver fur bristled, and without any warning it tore through space, moving into a different space. Lu Yi squinted his eyes and chuckled. Let's go after it and see. Lu Yi could have stopped the silver leopard from escaping, but he didn't do so. He wanted to see where the silver leopard would flee to. No one else objected. After all, this was the first living creature they had encountered. Perhaps there would be some gains. Chapter 840, 397, The Dojo of the Fate Immortal King. Chapter 840, Chapter 397, The Dojo of the Fate Immortal King. Lu Yi operated the space origin, enveloping Yu Cheng and others, concealing their forms and silently sinking into the different space, following the silver leopard. Perhaps it was due to the special nature of this abyss ruins, but not only those who had reached immortal venerable level, even regular immortal beasts had extremely high intelligence. However, this silver leopard was clearly not so. It seemed to have only the instincts of a beast, without high intelligence. The silver leopard, upon perceiving the immortal king aura on Yu Cheng, fled immediately. Yet, in the process of escaping, it did not consciously check if there was any pursuit behind, fleeing purely on instinct. Of course, even if the silver leopard was conscious of avoiding pursuit, it definitely wouldn't discover Lu Yi's presence. Space origin was much more powerful compared to space law. The silver leopard traversed the different space, moving clearly in one direction. Soon, it suddenly tore open a spatial crack and leaped out from the different space. This is it. Lu Yi and the group brightened their eyes. Then Lu Yi wrapped everyone in the space origin, flying out through the spatial crack. After returning to the real universe, Lu Yi's gaze swept the surroundings, discovering a dilapidated and abandoned continent, with traces of broken buildings and signs of battles on the ground. Yu Cheng and the others were also observing the surroundings. Then Yu Yunqing seemed to sense something, slightly frowning. I always feel there's an uncomfortable aura here. Yu Cheng and Yu Xuni also nodded slightly. Yes, I sensed it too. Although I don't know what it is, it probably isn't good. A mysterious Tao light flashed in Lu Yi's eyes, and he smiled. It's normal, the destiny fluctuations here are a bit strange, seeming to be tainted with a certain ominous aura, which unconsciously affects the fate of other beings, making them tainted with misfortune and more prone to danger. The aura of misfortune, destiny law, Yu Cheng and the others also slightly tensed, becoming vigilant. Lu Yi shook his head. It is origin of destiny power. It's because a few of the ancestors have reached the immortal king realm that they have some vague perception. If it were an immortal venerable, they probably wouldn't notice the anomaly here. It seems what the red immortal king residual shadow said was correct. There is indeed some connection with the fate immortal king here. If it were an ordinary law, there might be a few immortal kings who cultivated to the origin realm, but space law itself is rare, and those who can cultivate it to the origin realm are naturally even rarer. It is likely that only that fate immortal king achieved it. Combining with what the red immortal king said before, this place indeed should be the dojo left by the fate immortal king. Fate immortal king. Yu Cheng and the group fell silent, being more cautious of their surroundings. What arrangements did that immortal king leave in the dojo? Even after so many years, there's still origin of destiny power lingering. It's terrifying. Yu Xuni couldn't help but grimace. If it were him, he certainly couldn't achieve this. That fate immortal king must have been very strong. Lu Yi grinned. Of course, according to Red Immortal King, Fate Immortal King was among the top in strength within the Immortal Kings. The group discussed as they followed the silver leopard, flying deeper into the ruins. Along the way, the aura of misfortune grew increasingly thick, but with Lu Yi present, such misfortune naturally couldn't affect them. Soon the silver leopard reached the depths of the continent, where there was a vast expanse of ruins, filled with remnants and debris. One could imagine that this must have once been a huge and magnificent palace complex. But now all has turned into history. The silver leopard swiftly arrived at the central region of the ruins. In this region, there was a relatively intact bronze structure, and the silver leopard nimbly leaped into it. Clearly, this was the silver leopard's lair. It's unclear when this silver leopard was born, or how it claimed this region as its territory. Lu Yi and his companions exchanged glances, and in the next moment, Lu Yi's aura surged, with the space origin flowing, sealing off the entire palace's space to prevent the silver leopard from escaping. Sensing the aura from outside, an angry and fearful roar resounded from within the palace, and a silver flash darted out to the front of the palace. Upon seeing Lu Yi and the others, it immediately crouched low to the ground, with space around it distorting, as if ready to pounce at any moment. At this moment, the distorted space around the silver leopard suddenly calmed, its body frozen in place, imprisoned by Lu Yi using the space origin. Fear emerged in the deep eyes of the silver leopard, as it growled angrily and struggled continuously, yet to no avail. Lu Yi and his companions stepped forward, arriving in front of the silver leopard. Lu Yi glanced at it, then shifted his gaze inside the palace. The roof inside the palace was somewhat damaged, but the hall was relatively intact, allowing them to see its original appearance. At the deepest part of the hall stood a giant statue, depicting a handsome man with a single horn on his forehead, sitting cross-legged. Upon seeing this statue of the horned man, Lu Yi seemed to receive insight from destiny, instinctively knowing that this was the Fate Immortal King. Yu Cheng and the others also showed surprise. He is the Fate Immortal King. Chapter 841, 397 Fate Immortal Kings, Dojo 2. Chapter 841, Chapter 397 Fate Immortal Kings, Dojo 2. After so many years, the power of destiny lingering here can still exert its effect, truly impressive. The group marveled, carefully scanning with their divine sense, ensuring the statue had no anomalies before beginning to inspect other areas. To one side of the grand hall, there was a pile of various items, including cultivation treasures, broken bodies, and numerous star cores and the like. Some of these appeared to have a very long history, while others seemed not too ancient, perhaps still usable. Lu Yi and the others walked over to check them out. Yu Xuanyi held a piece of crystal jade plate in his hand and spoke. This cultivation treasure seems to be a type commonly used by the Crystal Spirit clan, and it has very strong spirituality. Lu Yi raised his eyebrow, pondering. Wasn't there a strong Crystal Spirit clan member who entered the Abyss Ruins before? Could someone have perished in this area? It's possible. Here we see heavenly boats and star cores. These shouldn't be something that beast crafted itself, should they? Perhaps they are spoils of war obtained from cultivators who entered the Abyss Ruins. Lu Yi and the others nodded slightly. They carefully checked other areas of the hall, and soon saw wall murals on the walls of the grand hall. One mural depicted unicorn humanoid creatures kneeling before a unicorn man, whose appearance was exactly like the statue, none other than the Fate Immortal King. This should be the Fate clan. This race seems to be no more now, right? I've traveled through many star domains and have never seen such a race. Yu Cheng looked at the murals and spoke. Yu Xuanyi and Yu Yongqing also nodded, indicating that they had never seen the Fate clan during their travels. There was a mural of the unicorn man, battling terrifyingly powerful immortal beasts and other immortal kings. Are these murals describing the might of the Fate Immortal King? Yu Yongqing spoke. Indeed, aside from the worshipping mural, even through the other murals, one could feel the immensely powerful and terrifying aura of the Fate Immortal King's opponents, who should all be immortal kings. These should be the honors of the Fate Immortal King's battles, recorded here. The group discussed while continuing to examine the murals. Soon, they came across a mural that made all of their pupils contract slightly. This mural still depicted the Fate Immortal King in battle, but his opponents were no longer other immortal kings or immortal beasts. Instead, they were Jihu demons emanating Jihu Qi. Even on the mural, the diabolical and terrifying presence of the Jihu demons could still be felt. Jihu demons. This is the scene from the ancient times where the Fate Immortal King battled Jihu demons. Those who could fight the Fate Immortal King should also be Jihu demons at the Immortal King realm, right? Even just through the mural, it still sends chills down one's spine. Yu Cheng spoke slowly. The others nodded as well. This is the dojo of the Fate Immortal King. This palace should be quite important within the dojo and might be the place where the Fate Immortal King imparted teachings. Lu Yi spoke. The others nodded, not disagreeing. The group continued to observe, and the subsequent murals all depicted the Fate Immortal King battling Jihu demons. Different Jihu demons. Clearly, from that time on, the threat of Jihu demons had already been extremely significant, and the Fate Immortal King, as an Immortal King-level expert, was almost always dealing with the threat of Jihu demons. And the final mural depicted numerous cultivators from the Fate clan, watching the Fate Immortal King walk away into the sky. This should be when the fate Immortal King went to the Jihu world together with other immortal kings and immortal emperors. Yu Cheng thought of something and spoke. The others also nodded. Afterward, there were no more murals. Lu Yi and the others circled along the walls, finally finding lines of writing on a smooth section of wall. These writings did not belong to any language Lu Yi and the Yu family ancestors knew, likely the writing of the Fate clan. The writing appeared chaotic. Although the group could not understand the content, they could somewhat guess that when these words were written, the writer seemed to be in an unstable state. Moreover, when Lu Yi and the others looked at these writings, they could even sense a palpable resentment and unwillingness. This, Yu Cheng and the others exchanged a confused glance. Who left these writings with such a heavy sense of resentment? Unknown, this writing seems to have been lost. We can't discern the content inside. Yu Xuanyi shook his head. Yu Yunqing fell silent for a moment before speaking. Record them, investigate later. It might be crucial information. The others nodded. With the memory of those at the Immortal King realm, even if they had never studied the writing, just a glance would allow them to remember it clearly for later recall. Then Lu Yi and the others carefully searched again, but didn't find anything else. It seems that after so much time, the things here are gone, possibly taken by the Fate clan or decayed with time. Yu Xuanyi speculated, baring his teeth. Yes, it's a pity that apart from these murals, nothing else useful was found, Yu Cheng sighed softly. At this moment, Lu Yi chuckled. Perhaps the silver leopard knows something about the situation. Let's go see. Upon hearing this, Yu Cheng and the others' eyes lit up, all nodding. They walked out of the hall to find the silver leopard still, in its previously restrained state. However, at this moment, the silver leopard's eyes were full of fear, extremely frightened. Even a beast, driven by instinct alone, would still possess a sense of fear. Lu Yi smiled and said, "Who knows how long it has lived here? Maybe it knows some secrets about this place." Yu Cheng and the others nodded. Yu Xuanyi grinned, "Let me." He stepped forward, pointing at the silver leopard. In the next instant, illusory scenes surrounded the silver leopard. These scenes showed desolate ruins, a deep and dark universe. Inside the abyss ruins, the images from the silver leopard's memory. Illusory scenes quickly flickered past, with various memories displayed through the illusory world by Yu Xuanyi. The majority involved the silver leopard alone, and some scenes depicted the silver leopard encountering cultivators. Some of these cultivators were from the human clan, some from the crystal spirit clan, and others from various races. Some were only at the golden immortal level, while others had even reached the immortal venerate realm. But faced with the silver leopard, at immortal venerable peak and mastering the perfect space law, few even managed to flee. Most were slain and devoured by the silver leopard, with their cultivation treasures and heavenly boats becoming the silver leopard's war trophies. Unfortunately, this silver leopard lacked significant intelligence, unable to utilize the laws, collecting them purely due to sensing the richness of spiritual energy within them. In addition to these, star core and star marrow-like cultivation resources were consumed and absorbed by the silver leopard. The silver leopard's routine predominantly involved devouring spiritual objects and cultivating and sleeping, or going out to hunt. Through these images, Lu Yi and the others discovered that besides the silver leopard, there were other fierce beasts here, seemingly life forms birthed within the abyss ruins. However, these life forms had strong territorial instincts, generally not encroaching on others' territories, thereby avoiding conflicts. There were a few life forms around the silver leopard, but encounters were rare, and even in battles, they were held in check, as their biological instincts prevented them from fighting to the death. Just then the illusory scene flickered, showing a heavenly boat flying past. That heavenly boat emitted dense black mist, as if something terrifying existed within. The heavenly boat passed through the silver leopard's territory, and the silver leopard, only taking a glance, hid its body and fled immediately. Upon seeing this, Lu Yi's pupils contracted slightly, speaking, "Jiu Qi." Not only Lu Yi, but Yu Cheng and the others also fixed their gaze on the heavenly boat heading deeper into the silver leopard's territory, watching the Jiu Qi emanating from the heavenly boat. This Jiu Qi was extremely dense, making them feel as if they had returned to the Jiu battlefield. The atmosphere turned silent. Yu Cheng took a deep breath and said, "This proves it. There are Jiu cultivators in this Jiu ruins." The others nodded as well. Chapter 842, 398. The Gathering Place in the Depths of the Abyss Ruins. Chapter 842. Chapter 398. The Gathering Place in the Depths of the Abyss Ruins. The main purpose of coming to the Abyss Ruins was to explore the possibility of the presence of Jiu cultivators. Unexpectedly, things went so smoothly, and they immediately gained some results. Lu Yi suddenly squinted slightly, glanced around, and a guess emerged in his mind. Fate Immortal King. Could there be an arrangement of fate in this? If the Fate Immortal King had indeed foreseen through destiny the scene of them entering the Abyss Ruins before leaving the Dao Field, then there is hope for some arrangements to be left behind. However, if the Fate Immortal King can really achieve this, then his strength might be even greater than Lu Yi imagined. Could he have reached the Immortal Emperor realm? Lu Yi's expression was a bit unusual after all. Even though his current cultivation base was only at the Immortal Venerate realm, his sturdy foundation made his strength not inferior to an immortal king. Moreover, the mastery of the space origin he had understood over many years had already reached small success. This was considered extremely top tier among immortal kings. Even with his current strength, he couldn't achieve this. If the Fate Immortal King can really achieve this, then he must be stronger than he currently is. However, according to the description of the Red Immortal King's residual shadow, the Fate Immortal King should not yet have reached the Immortal Emperor stage. Lu Yi's thoughts whirled, and soon he stopped thinking too much, focusing on the situation at hand. Watching in the illusory world, the silver leopard fled directly out of fear, leaving Lu Yi full of black lines. This creature existed purely on beastly instincts, with a high ability to seek benefit and avoid harm, and after sensing Elder Yu Cheng's aura earlier, it fled immediately. If this silver leopard had a bit more curiosity and followed the heavenly boat, they surely would have gathered more information. As the previous memory image faded, Yu Cheng and the others exchanged glances and fell into silence. Then Yu Cheng slowly said, "It seems the Jiu cultivator's heavenly boat traveled through this creature's territory, probably heading deeper into the Abyss Ruins, but we don't know which direction it took." Yu Xuanyi and Yu Yunqing nodded slightly. Then Yu Yunqing glanced at the trembling silver leopard and suggested, "Perhaps we can have it lead us to search." Hearing this, Lu Yi and the others raised their eyebrows and looked at the silver leopard. "Let's give it a try." Yu Cheng's divine sense surged, pouring his will into the silver leopard, while again manifesting the previous illusory memory and saying slowly, "Take us to this place, and I won't kill you." Though the silver leopard only had the beast's instinct and couldn't communicate, it didn't lack some level of wisdom, certainly possessing a considerable survival instinct, even more afraid of death than ordinary intelligent beings. Through divine sense, it quickly understood Yu Cheng's intention. When it sensed Lu Yi release the spatial restraints, the silver leopard trembled and got up, wagging its tail wildly. Lu Yi glanced at the tail wagging like a fan, full of black lines. This is clearly a leopard, so why does it feel like a dog? Yu Cheng smiled slightly. It seems it agrees. In that case, there's no time to waste. Let's set out now. Yu Cheng continued communicating with the silver leopard through divine sense to lead the way. Swiftly, the group traversed space and arrived at the area previously seen in the silver leopard's memory. This is it. Yu Cheng and the others looked toward the depths of the Abyss Ruins, where the darkness was denser, and even they couldn't see the internal scenes from several light years away, only feeling like a giant maw opening, ready to devour life at any moment. Lu Yi nodded slightly, smiling. The heavenly boat went in this direction. If we follow its track, we should gain something. Yeah, let's go. Without looking at the silver leopard again, they transformed into streams of light and flew towards the darkness within the Abyss Ruins. As Lu Yi and the others left, the silver leopard quickly tucked its tail and vanished as it tore through space. Lu Yi and the others ventured deeper into the Abyss Ruins, following the direction of the heavenly boat, and as they penetrated deeper, the surroundings grew darker and more profound. In Lu Yi's vision, the space in this area was more chaotic than the previous regions. Even within less than a light year's distance, more than a dozen space vortexes appeared and disappeared, and before one completely subsided, another had already emerged. Lu Yi also noticed that the misfortune in this area was more intense than in the previous regions, with the fate line here stained dark black. If other cultivators were to enter here, even those at the Immortal King level, they would likely find it quite troublesome, but Lu Yi had no such worries. Whether it was space or destiny, Lu Yi had mastered the corresponding origin power. He controlled the space around himself and Yu Cheng and others, ensuring that this region's space wouldn't collapse, while misfortune was dispelled using the origin of destiny, leaving them untouched. Yu Cheng and the others looked at the surrounding environment with solemn expressions. Yu Xuanyi couldn't help but sigh, "It's too dangerous here." Yu Cheng nodded. "If it weren't for Yi, the three of us acting alone, even if we could operate in this region, it would be extremely troublesome. No wonder it's a cosmic forbidden zone formed from the Tao field left by the fate immortal king of the past. I'm afraid that even an immortal king might not be able to explore the deepest areas." Chapter 843, 398. The Gathering Place in the Depths of the Abyss Ruins 2. Chapter 843. Chapter 398. The Gathering Place in the Depths of the Abyss Ruins /2. Yu Xuanyi and Yu Cheng both felt a bit emotional. At this moment, Yu Yongqing's eyes flashed with confusion. Even immortal kings find it so difficult to delve deep into this area. How did those Jiyu cultivators manage to pilot the celestial ship and venture into this region? Upon hearing this, both Yu Cheng and Yu Xuanyi and even Lu Yi paused slightly, adding more doubt in their hearts. Indeed, those Jiyu cultivators shouldn't have reached the immortal king realm. Even if each of them is an immortal venerable, they couldn't easily come and go in such a region, could they? Yu Xuanyi murmured to himself, somewhat unable to understand. Yu Cheng thought for a moment and spoke. Perhaps they have mastered some unique method of entry and exit. That might be the case. Lu Yi also nodded slightly. Aside from this method, he really couldn't think of any other way that would allow those who had yet to reach the immortal king realm to freely enter and exit such a dangerous area. Yu Xuanyi and Yu Yongqing also nodded slightly, seemingly agreeing with this idea. Then Yu Xuanyi glanced around and sighed. What really happened back then? The Immortal King's dojo left by the Fate Immortal King. Even if the Fate Immortal King is gone, with the setup left behind, it shouldn't have turned into a cosmic forbidden zone. The extent of space collapse here is too exaggerated, as if the entire area was once thoroughly shattered and even now hasn't fully recovered. No one answered Yu Xuanyi's words, since neither Lu Yi, Yu Cheng, nor Yu Yongqing knew how the Fate Immortal King's dojo became the Abyss Ruins. Even the residual shadow of the Red Immortal King didn't know, unable to comprehend, as the Red Immortal King had entered Jiyu at that time, leaving the residual shadow in the legacy world, completely unaware of external events. Maybe the answer lies deep within this Abyss Ruins. Lu Yi gazed into the distant darkness. Others nodded, saying no more. They continued deeper, passing through several territories of the creatures within the Abyss Ruins. All of these creatures were mindless monsters, yet their strength was formidable, reaching the immortal venerable peak. However, like that silver leopard, these creatures were left with only their biological instincts, with a genetic predisposition to avoid harm. After realizing that Lu Yi and the others were not easy targets, no native creatures dared to attack them. As they continued to delve deeper, even the creatures originally able to survive in this area ceased to venture here. And the signs of space collapse became increasingly severe in this region. It seemed as though this entire region could anytime shatter into the farthest different space, reduced to void, governed only by some force maintaining balance, repairing the surrounding space slightly. Lu Yi understood this was the natural instinct of the Tao origin, repairing the damaged space. Unless it was a place like the Jiyu Channel where even space lines completely vanish, over time, even broken space lines would slowly be restored. Just as Lu Yi and his companions carefully avoided a massive space vortex and ventured further, they all stopped, a look of shock on their faces. In front of them, wisps of Jiyu Qi were circulating. The Jiyu Qi wasn't dense, but still made Lu Yi and his companions feel slightly weighed down. Jiyu Qi, looks like we are headed in the right direction. There really are Jiyu cultivators here, Yu Cheng said, his expression somber. Is this Jiyu Qi brought by those Jiyu cultivators, or does it exist here originally? Yu Xuanyi's expression also turned very serious, not as jovial as before. Yu Cheng shook his head, indicating he didn't know. Lu Yi, however, pondered heavily. If it's the former, that's fine. If it's naturally existing Jiyu Qi, then this area might be connected to Jiyu. Even if it's not a Jiyu channel, it might have some connection with the Jiyu world. Lu Yi's words made everyone fall silent. The deep part of the former Immortal King's dojo, the cosmic forbidden zone, actually had connections with Jiu. And they had no idea how long this had been present. They actually hadn't discovered it at all. Thinking about this, Yu Cheng and others felt chills in their hearts, relieved that Abyss Ruins had had little disturbance over the years. Let's go and take a look. The group ventured deeper and soon entered the Jiu Qi. Having been in the Jiu battlefield for eons, the immortal venerables naturally faced such Jiu Qi without any issues. But soon they discovered, as they moved further, the Jiu Qi grew denser, nearly reaching the level of the Jiu battlefield. And they hadn't yet reached the end. This made Lu Yi and the others' expressions increasingly solemn. None of them spoke. As they continued further, the Jiu Qi concentration reached the level of the Jiu battlefield, and was still rising, nearing the concentration of the immortal venerable level Jiu battlefield from before. At this time, Lu Yi and the others suddenly stopped. In the distant darkness, strands of ghostly light emitted, drawing their gaze. In this deep darkness, even though Lu Yi and the others' vision wasn't much affected, those ghostly lights were exceptionally noticeable. Lu Yi and his companions exchanged glances. Lu Yi spoke, "Let's go over." "Be careful," Yu Cheng nodded and said. Lu Yi nodded slightly, using space origin to conceal their forms as they approached the area of ghostly lights without leaving a trace. Yet they barely moved a bit closer before stopping again. This time, everyone sensed the Jiu Qi contained strands of sinister energy. These energies spread widely nearby. "Are these the Jiu cultivators left here?" Yu Xuanyi's pupils contracted slightly and spoke. "Very likely. Let's go and see." Since the direction of these energies matched that of the ghostly lights, they didn't change course. Soon the group discovered, amidst the dense Jiu Qi, floating debris from planets. On these planetary debris, camps had been established. Numerous powerful energies emanated from these camps. Around these camps, numerous celestial ships were docked. These celestial ships came in various forms. Some were those Lu Yi had seen from the sky falling star domain, Rashomon star domain, and Crystal Spirit star domain, and others completely unfamiliar to Lu Yi. Yu Cheng and others changed facial expressions as they observed the celestial ships around them. These celestial ships not only belong to our sky-falling star domain, but also to distant star domains which have some docked here. The Jiu cultivators here come from all over the universe. Yu Xuanyi's voice was extremely grave. So many Jiu cultivators were right under their noses, having reached the border between their sky-falling star domain and Crystal Spirit star domain, and they had been completely unaware. Yu Yunqing quickly shifted her attention to another issue, wondering, why did they come here, and how did they get here? Lu Yi and the others shook their heads, refraining from answering, as they didn't know either. Yu Cheng glanced around and spoke. "The strongest energy here seems to only be at the Immortal Venerate realm. Shouldn't be powerful Jiu cultivators at Immortal King realm. We can eliminate them, perhaps gaining some insights." Yu Xuanyi nodded, similarly speaking. "There are so many Jiu cultivators here. The immortal venerable level Jiu cultivator who came to assassinate you while you were breaking through likely came here. Perhaps they didn't just target you alone. We can find out what they're aiming to achieve." "Year, what do you think?" Yu Yunqing looked at Lu Yi asking. Yu Xuanyi and Yu Cheng also looked at Lu Yi. Although Lu Yi's cultivation base was only at the immortal venerate realm, in terms of strength, he was probably the strongest among them. Needless to say, without Lu Yi, entering here would have been much more difficult for them, and the commotion would have been considerable, likely alerting the enemies long ago. Once the enemies were alerted, the Jiu cultivators here would have surely retreated long ago. Lu Yi paused for a moment, then nodded slightly. "I am also a bit curious about what's going on here." Lu Yi glanced at one of the planetary debris, sensing familiar energy from it, from an immortal monarch who had once led a group of Bolos cultivators into the Abyss Ruins. Chapter 844-399, The Roar from the Deepest Depths. Chapter 844, Chapter 399, The Roar from the Deepest Depths. "In that case, let's take action." Lu Yi's aura erupted, Tau light twinkled in his eyes, and the entire Jiu cultivator camp fell under Lu Yi's space origin control. The originally chaotic space vortex vanished in an instant. The Jiu cultivators within the camp naturally sensed such a formidable aura fluctuation. One by one, figures flew out from the camp, arriving in the deep void. Leading them were more than 10 GU cultivators at the Immortal Venerable level, and behind them were many Immortal Monarchs, while those below Immortal Monarch level were even more numerous. At this moment, their expressions were extremely grim, and under the influence of GU Qi, violent emotions could not surge up in their hearts for a while. Their hearts were cold. Immortal King. A large number of GU cultivators descended into chaos, fleeing in all directions, trying to escape this area. However, the entire space transformed into a cage under Luya's origin power, and those GU cultivators who reached the edge found themselves blocked by what seemed to be invisible walls, completely unable to leave. Luya glanced over the surrounding GU cultivators, extended a hand, and in the next moment, all the GU cultivators appearing in the vacuum were confined in place. Taoist energy appeared accordingly, encompassing all the GU cultivators, suppressing the spiritual energy and GU Qi within them. This was a lesson Luya learned from the previous self-detonating GU cultivator. He must not let them channel GU Qi, or they might self-destruct at any moment. The struggling GU cultivators were confined in place, only able to watch as Lu Yi and his group slowly approached. The expressions of Yu Cheng and the other three beside Lu Yi were somewhat bewildered. Although the cultivators here were not strong, the most powerful being only at the Immortal Venerable level, the sheer number was considerable, and they were quite spread out. Coupled with the environmental factors here, even if the three of them took action, it would still take considerable effort to capture all the GU cultivators alive. Yet in Luya's hands, it was accomplished with such ease. This made the three immortal kings clearly realize there was still a gap between them and Lu Yi. Indeed, weren't they the immortal kings? The three couldn't help but feel a bit speechless. Lu Yi and his companion swiftly arrived in front of the leading GU cultivators. These GU cultivators at the Immortal Venerable level, unlike the weaker ones, though surprised in expression, didn't show much fear, much like the Immortal Venerable who attempted to assassinate Yu Cheng, who decisively chose to self-destruct at the time. Seeing the fanatical expressions in these Immortal Venerables' eyes, Luya felt a deeper heaviness. These guys probably already fully belonged to GU. His expression brushed calmly across the faces of the few Immortal Venerables, and he spoke. Where did this GU Qi come from? How did you find this place, and why can you freely enter and exit? Hearing Luya's words, the expressions of the few Immortal Venerables remained calm, completely unresponsive like puppets. Luya furrowed his brow, and Yu Cheng beside him chuckled lightly. Let me handle it, just check their memories directly. Upon hearing this, Luya nodded slightly. Just then, the leading humanoid Immortal Venerable with a head full of white hair and 4 arms suddenly laughed. Seeing this Immortal Venerable's smile, Luya's eyebrow arched slightly. In the next instant, his pupils slightly contracted, sensing an extremely powerful aura unexpectedly emerging from a distant place, surging like magma from the depths of space in their area. Luya immediately withdrew with Yu Cheng and the others. The following moment, the space around the GU cultivators tore apart suddenly. Despite Luya's use of space origin to reinforce it, he couldn't prevent this tear in space. From the torn space, jet-black GU Qi gushed out, wholly engulfing the more than 10 GU cultivators at the Immortal Venerable level. Sharp whispers sounded in the ears of Lu Yi and his group, as if some terrifying monster was roaring fiercely beside them. This aura, it's comparable to the GU channel, no, even stronger. What on earth is happening? Yu Cheng and the others were tense all over, staring intently at the GU Qi not far away, their expressions heavy. Luya slowly shook his head, his expression equally somber as he gazed at the GU Qi, and in the next moment he reached out his hand, Taoist energy surging, pressing towards the GU Qi. Even though he didn't understand what was happening, Luya did not believe the emergence of this GU Qi could be a good thing, and taking action to suppress it was undoubtedly better than leaving it unchecked. However, to Luya's astonishment, a violent roar echoed from the distant place where the burgeoning aura erupted, a tangible oppressive force sweeping across, causing all GU cultivators, including the immortal monarchs, to explode on the spot, turning into the minutest of blood mist. Even GU cultivators at the immortal monarch level were coughing blood repeatedly, with their bodies showing cracks, seemingly unable to withstand such a roar. Even Yu Cheng and the others at the immortal king level felt their blood and energy boiling, their complexions turning slightly pale, eyes filled with shock. Under such pressure, Even the Taoist energy controlled by Lu Yi momentarily stalled, even reversing, moving away from the Jihu Qi. Lu Yi snorted coldly, a sharp look flashing in his eyes. In the next instant, he calmed his turbulent energy and blood, fully operating Taoist energy, once again pressing towards that Jihu Qi. Chapter 845-399, Roar from the Depths 2. Chapter 845, Chapter 399, Roar from the Depths /2. However, at this moment, the Jihu Qi seemed to possess life itself, starting to wriggle slightly, collapsing inward. At the same time, the surrounding blood splatter, crushed by powerful pressure, was absorbed at an extremely fast speed into the Jihu Qi. Powerful auras emanated from the depths of the Jihu Qi, which belonged to the Immortal King level. The pupils of Lu Yi and his companions constricted slightly, showing a look of astonishment. Immortal King! How is this possible? Soon, the Jihu Qi completely vanished, leaving only 3 figures where the 10 or so immortal venerables originally stood. These 3 figures were entirely pitch black, with hair swaying like tentacles, having crimson eyes at the tips, and on the surface of their bodies there were numerous eyes and mouths. The eyes blinked, and the mouths emitted sharp, mournful howls, seemingly filled with grievances hard to resolve. Seeing those 3 figures made Lu Yi and his group feel as though they had laid eyes on the most evil of things. What kind of monster is this? Even Yu Cheng and the other veteran guardians of the Jihu battlefield felt a chill run down their spines. They were supposed to be Jihu cultivators, yet this appearance did not look anything like normal beings. Rather than Jihu cultivators, they seemed more like Jihu demons. But even Jihu demons, they had never seen one so bizarre-looking, containing such deep grievances. Those 3 figures, although their cultivation bases had reached the terrifying Immortal King realm, seemed to have lost all reason. All their crimson eyes were focused on Lu Yi and his group, carrying a furious killing intent, with all the mouths on them emitting chillingly sharp screams. Then they vanished on the spot, charging toward Lu Yi and his group. Damn it! Lu Yi's group had subtle changes in their expressions, and the next moment Yu Cheng spoke. I'll handle one, Yi will handle one, and Xuan Yi and Yunqing, you 2 handle one. The aura of these bizarre Jihu cultivators was exceedingly strong, and even Yu Cheng had little confidence, let alone later breakthrough achievers like Yu Xuanyi and Yu Yunqing. They could only let those 2 deal with one of the Jihu cultivators. Lu Yi, with a serious expression, also felt a significant threat. The strength of these Jihu cultivators was extremely terrifying. Even among immortal kings they were not considered weak. This made him somewhat incredulous. What exactly was that roar, and what was the suddenly appearing Jihu Qi? Could it have forcefully merged so many immortal venerables and Jihu cultivators below that level, transforming them into monsters of Immortal King realm? Came it from the demon god of Jihu world? If so, the demon god of Jihu world is even more powerful and terrifying than imagined, able to create such powerful monsters despite not being able to enter their universe. Seeing one of the Jihu monsters approaching, Lu Yi stopped thinking about it, let out a cold snort, with mysterious Tao light flashing in his eyes. In the next instant, his entire body surged with blood and energy, golden red light illuminating the darkness, causing the originally fragile space, which was only held in place by Lu Yi, to collapse once again. Lu Yi instantly vanished from where he stood, appearing in front of the Jihu monster. The Jihu monster let out a low roar, Jihu Qi surging around him. Reaching out 3 hands to grab Lu Yi, they suddenly swelled up, turning into giant-like arms reaching out toward Lu Yi. On the arms, hundreds of crimson eyes shot out beams of red or deep black light, some trying to shake his divine sense, intending to control Lu Yi's mind and confuse his actions. However, whether it was controlling or confusing actions against Lu Yi, for someone with extremely solid foundations and unparalleled divine sense, these were of no use, his whole body glowing in more intense crimson gold, twisting the surrounding space, guiding all light beams in different directions. With a single step, he unleashed furious power. Power type origin immortal skill, stepping void step. The terrifying power erupted, causing a violent storm in the space, sweeping toward the Jihu monster. In the process of the spatial storm, the Jihu monster's arms were instantly crushed into blood mist under the fierce power, and its piercing screams and roars made Lu Yi's head throb slightly. As the spatial storm approached the Jihu monster, the Jihu Qi on it suddenly burst out, forming a moving black ball of light enveloping itself. The next moment, the spatial storm completely devoured the black ball of light. Boom, boom, boom. The signs of space tearing spread out for several light years, completely shattering the entire region's space. This was the result of Lu Yi gathering his power without spreading it. The spatial storm surged at the center, and at this moment, wisps of black mist drifted out from within the storm. Lu Yi raised his eyebrows slightly, and the spatial storm shattered on the spot, revealing the Jiyu monster inside. At this point, the Jiyu monster was covered in blood all over, with originally more than 10 gigantic arms now having 4 directly broken off, the others all bearing some wounds. Despite the Jiyu monster's strength, it still fell short when compared to Lu Yi. Seeing his attack was effective, Lu Yi was about to continue when suddenly he saw the Jiyu monster's flesh wriggling, wounds instantly healing, even the severed arms restored to their original state. Lu Yi saw this, furrowing his brow. This creature's regenerative abilities were stronger than he had imagined. Chapter 846, 399, The Roar in the Deepest Part 3. Chapter 846, Chapter 399, The Roar in the Deepest Part /3. Although having reached the immortal king realm, the physical body is nearly indestructible and immortal, making it difficult to destroy. It still requires some time to recover. This monster's rapid regeneration speed is apparently one of its traits. Lu Yi squinted his eyes. The next moment he let out a low shout. The heavenly heart technique operated, and the origin power seemed to manifest the Tao itself, enhancing him and causing his strength to surge explosively. His cultivation base instantly increased consecutively, reaching the immortal venerable peak and even approaching the immortal king realm. At this moment, Lu Yi's aura was even more powerful and terrifying than before, and even the surrounding space was distorted under Lu Yi's aura. He disappeared from his place again, appearing above the head of the Jiyu monster. Lu Yi's expression was calm as he reached out and grasped. The space origin surged, instantly binding the Jiyu monster. Before the Jiyu monster had time to resist, the binding space shattered along with the Jiyu monster. Boom! As the Jiyu monster's body was about to completely shatter, it broke free from the spatial restriction. Jiyu Qi surged, instantly disappearing from the original spot. Even so, his body remained tattered, with cracks everywhere, as if it might turn to fragments at any moment. However, such a wound quickly recovered in an instant. Around him, Jiyu Qi surged, issuing unconscious angry roars, and the huge body suddenly seemed somewhat withered. Then eyes and mouths on his body merged into the flesh, and threads of pitch-black liquid seeped from the skin. And his aura instantly surged again. In a furious roar, the Jiyu monster dripping with pitch-black mucus charged at Lu Yi. Lu Yi squinted his eyes and similarly advanced to meet him. Boom! Lu Yi's foot stomped on the chest of the Jiyu demon. His chest instantly exploded, forming a massive crater front to back. Even so, he moved as usual. His mucus-dripping arm swung towards Lu Yi. The Jiyu Qi on it was thick to the extreme, even causing a tinge of eeriness to rise in Lu Yi's mind. However, this sensation disappeared instantly. Taoist energy surged, allowing him to instantly regain composure. A deep flame appeared in his hand, and after tightly grasping it, the flame erupted from the body of the Jiyu monster. Boom! The Jiyu monster seemed ignited like a torch, letting out intense roars. As the flame burned, the mucus on the Jiyu monster evaporated bit by bit, even weakening his aura. Lu Yi's eyes lit up, realizing its effectiveness, but then the charred areas of the Jiyu monster began recovering bit by bit, and his aura quickly restored. Lu Yi frowned, unexpected at how difficult this thing was to deal with. At that moment, looking at the mucus, Lu Yi thought of something, squinted, and the Taoist energy within him surged. At this moment, Lu Yi's Taoist energy had basically fully fused, wielding extremely strong power. His right hand burned with the 9 heavens tribulation fire, while his left hand merged with a deep ball of Taoist energy. The Taoist energy was extraordinarily mysterious and condensed into a half-meter-sized light orb in Lu Yi's hand. When the Tao patterns inside the orb flickered faintly, almost beyond Lu Yi's control, he squinted his eyes and hurled his palm at the Jiyu monster, suppressed by the 9 heavens tribulation fire. The light orb, condensed by the Taoist energy, immediately collided with its body. Boom! As the Taoist energy met the extremely dense Jiyu Qi, it was like dry wood meeting a fierce fire. The Tao patterns flickered and extinguished, unleashing an incomparably powerful force in an instant. Chapter 847-400, The Lake of Origin. Chapter 847, Chapter 400, The Lake of Origin. A shrill scream emerged from the body of the Jihu monster. Its mouth, which had been wriggling into the flesh, reappeared, and with the three mouths on its head, it let out a piercing scream. Taoist energy surged and enveloped the Jihu monster. Almost in a brief moment, the ink-like Jihu Qi on its body evaporated, and under the cover of Taoist energy, its body gradually became shriveled, with hideous cracks appearing bit by bit. At this moment, the aura of the Jihu monster weakened rapidly. This time, all the wounds on its body did not recover quickly as before, but instead increased in number. Lu Yi saw this and exhaled slightly. As he had expected, the Jihu Qi could be purified by Taoist energy. The monster, difficult to harm even with the Origin Immortal skill, was like a raging fire extinguished by water when under condensed Taoist energy, quickly extinguished. Seeing the effectiveness of the Tao Light Sphere, Lu Yi again controlled the Jihu monster, condensing another Tao Light Sphere and smashing it onto the Jihu monster. Boom! The body of the Jihu monster shattered inch by inch, as the Jihu Qi turned into black mist and quickly dissipated. Finally, its body turned to ashes and vanished, completely dead. Lu Yi nodded slightly and hurriedly turned his head to look at another area. Yu Cheng had only just broken through to the Immortal King realm not long ago, currently still at the first layer of the Immortal King, and not very strong. Facing the Jihu monster, he could only manage a difficult defense, using his strange power of illusion origin to create one illusionary world after another, playing hide and seek with the monster, taking advantage of its lack of wit. Even so, in such a short moment, multiple wounds still appeared on Yu Cheng's body, with traces of black Jihu Qi escaping, clearly infected by it. If this drags on, even if Yu Cheng has reached the Immortal King realm, he will be defeated. On another side, Yu Xuanyi and Yu Yunqing were 2 against 1, but the situation was still not good. Facing the sinister Jihu monster, they were similarly suppressed, just like Yu Cheng, using illusion origin to play hide and seek. Their situation was slightly better than Yu Cheng's, but their faces were also somewhat pale. Fighting under such dense Jihu Qi against such a powerful monster was far from easy. Lu Yi vanished from his original spot, appearing around Yu Cheng. Compared to Yu Xuanyi and Yu Yunqing, Yu Cheng's situation was worse and evidently required priority assistance. The Jihu monster, surrounded by pitch-black flames, had just broken through an illusionary world and charged toward Yu Cheng. Just then, Lu Yi's body appeared suddenly, and he kicked the Jihu monster on the head. With a boom, the Jihu monster immediately flew back, its head turning into blood foam, smashed directly by Lu Yi. But in just an instant, its internal flesh wriggled, and a brand new head emerged. The Jihu monster saw a new opponent, roared and charged again. Year! Yu Cheng got a chance to catch his breath, exhaled slightly, and looked at Lu Yi with surprise. He turned to find that another Jihu monster had disappeared, clearly slain by Lu Yi. Before he could speak, the Jihu monster charged again, forcing him to say, "Let's kill it together." Lu Yi nodded slightly. He directly used space origin power, applying the Origin Immortal skill Mirror Flower to bind the oncoming Jihu monster, while Yu Cheng's eyes also shone with Tao patterns, creating endless chains to lock the Jihu monster firmly. If just Mirror Flower alone, the Jihu monster could quickly tear it apart, but combined with Yu Cheng's power, the monster was tightly locked. The Jihu monster roared, pitch-black Jihu flames burning fiercely, space cracking, and the illusionary chains clinking bit by bit. At this moment, Lu Yi had already compressed the Taoist energy, and with a calm expression, he hurled it toward the Jihu monster. Boom! Taoist energy spread, instantly engulfing the Jihu monster, and a shrill scream resounded again. Yu Cheng's eyes widened, looking at this scene, somewhat alarmed. He knew well the monster's regenerating powers, that even if attacked with origin power, it could heal instantly. Yet Lu Yi's attack brought such immense destruction, making it hard for him to believe. Lu Yi remained calm, knowing that one ball of condensed Taoist energy was not enough to kill the Jihu monster. He concentrated another new ball. Again, the ball charged toward the Jihu monster, engulfing it. In the rich Taoist energy, the Jihu monster's struggle weakened, its aura rapidly weakening, the Jihu Qi on its body dispersing bit by bit into black mist, and its body, like the previous monster, turned to ashes and dissipated. Is it really dead? Yu Cheng was dumbfounded. Impossible to imagine. The Jiu monster that had pushed him to such a difficult position was effortlessly killed by Lu Yi. Such power is truly terrifying. Yu Cheng looked at Lu Yi with a complex expression. Yi was clearly just at the immortal venerate realm. He shook his head quickly, saying, "Let's go help Xuanyi and Yunqing." Lu Yi nodded. He and Yu Cheng charged toward the last Jiu monster. Chapter 848-400, The Lake of Origin 2. Chapter 848, Chapter 400, The Lake of Origin /2. Same as before, Lu Yi, Yu Cheng, Yu Xuanyi and Yu Yunqing acted simultaneously, temporarily restraining the Jiu monster. Then Lu Yi threw two spheres condensed from Taoist energy, instantly purifying the Jiu monster. After the Jiu monster turned to ashes and vanished, Yu Xuanyi gasped a few breaths, still feeling some heart palpitations, and said, "I didn't expect there to be such a terrifying monster here." Yu Yunqing nodded, his face also pale. Luckily, Yi was here, otherwise the three of us would have been in serious trouble. Yu Cheng and Yu Xuanyi both nodded without disagreement. Fortunately, this monster did not appear earlier and did not leave the Abyss ruins. Otherwise, the entire Sky Falling Star domain would have been doomed. Yu Cheng couldn't help but exclaim. The others also nodded slightly. Though they were unsure why such a powerful Jiu monster hadn't left this restricted zone, they felt more relieved than anything. Afterwards, Yu Cheng looked apprehensively into the depths of the camp, his voice filled with concern. Were these three monsters transformed due to the disturbances inside? What's really in there? Lu Yi, Yu Xuanyi, and Yu Yunqing fell silent, staring into the depths of the camp. They couldn't be certain. After a pause, Yu Xuanyi looked at his companions and asked, "What do you think? Should we go have a look?" Yu Yunqing and Yu Cheng looked towards Lu Yi. Lu Yi was the strongest among them and had command over the space origin, making him able to both attack and retreat. If Lu Yi had confidence, they were willing to attempt. Otherwise, they felt uncertain. Even as immortal kings, having faced the three monsters just now, they clearly understood that their strength probably couldn't be considered invincible within the Abyss ruins. It was still dangerous for immortal kings here. Under the watchful eyes of the group, Lu Yi pondered for a moment and nodded. "We're already here, let's go in and have a look." Since they had come this far, Lu Yi didn't want to give up. Initially, he planned to capture those Jiu cultivators and find a way to extract the secrets of the Abyss ruins from them. But unexpectedly, all those Jiu cultivators had been turned into monsters. Clearly, those monsters lacked intelligence and couldn't be controlled, so they could only be killed. Thus, he couldn't ascertain the true situation deep within the Abyss ruins. Honestly, if he hadn't seen so many Jiu cultivators here and heard the roars from the depth of the Abyss ruins, even if he didn't know the secrets of its depths, he would choose to return and investigate again when stronger. But now, with Jiu monsters even at the Immortal King realm emerging, if what was inside had been alerted, it could cause them to escape the Abyss ruins after they leave, marking a colossal catastrophe for the Sky Falling Star domain. No, not just the Sky Falling Star domain, but a massive disaster for the entire universe. He had no choice but to investigate the situation now, as this was the only way to grasp the precise direction and know how to proceed with handling the Abyss ruins. Hearing Lu Yi's words, Yu Cheng and the others nodded. "In that case, let's go in. But first, let's rest a bit and adjust our states to the best, just in case there are more formidable monsters inside," Yu Xuanyi couldn't help but say. Lu Yi noticed Yu Cheng and the others' breaths were somewhat faint, and they had injuries and traces of Jiu Qi escaping. Lu Yi nodded, "All right." He used Taoist energy to disperse the Jiu Qi within the three, and with their immortal king status, their recovery ability was unsurprisingly powerful. Before long, they fully returned to peak condition. "Let's move out." Once prepared, the group flew towards the depths of the camp. Lu Yi chose not to use the space origin to travel through space, partly due to fear of missing details, and partly because the force that created the monsters also came from the different space. Traversing within might disturb something. Cautiously, they flew towards the depths of a planetary wreck, the Jiu Qi growing increasingly dense with their advance. They gradually approached the area, emitting a ghostly light. Soon, they were close enough to see the area clearly. To Lu Yi's astonishment, that area was empty, and within the deep, dark space was a region resembling water waves, with ghostly light emanating from it. Lu Yi could distinctly sense the power emerging from those waves was Taoist energy, rather than Jiyu Qi. Besides, Lu Yi even sensed multiple types of origin within that area, including the origin of destiny, natural origin, and fire origin. Some of the origin powers there exceeded Lu Yi's current level by far. This implied that the masters of these origins had perceived their power beyond small success, even exceeding the great success realm. This was certainly an immortal emperor. Lu Yi looked at the ball of light resembling a lake, in disbelief. Why was there such strong origin power and Taoist energy here? Not just Lu Yi, but the expressions of Yu Cheng, Yu Xuanyi, and Yu Yunqing beside him also showed shock. As immortal kings, they too could perceive Taoist energy and origin power. They were completely sure that the power contained within the ghostly light exceeded them by far. Remember, they were all immortal kings. In the present universe, they were already among the strongest. Is the power here, left from the ancient times? Yu Cheng asked in astonishment. Yu Xuanyi and the others exchanged puzzled glances. But in the ancient times, wasn't this supposed to be the grounds of the fate immortal king? Why would that immortal king allow other powerful beings to leave such mighty power here? Moreover, the essence of power here is extremely complex. There must be a number of cultivators who left this power, each exceedingly powerful, with the weakest stronger than us. Why would such strong individuals idly leave power here? Yu Xuanyi said, bewildered. Yu Yunqing shook his head. Perhaps it wasn't left when the fate immortal king was still here. Maybe this power is related to the appearance of abyss ruins. Hearing Yu Yunqing's words, Lu Yi and the others fell into contemplation. Then Lu Yi wondered aloud. After the fate immortal king left here, he entered the Jiyu world, and other immortal kings and immortal emperors also entered. If that's the case, who left this power? And with so many strong beings, could it be those immortal kings and emperors returned from Jiyu world once? This thought caused Lu Yi considerable alarm. After all, from the information obtained from the residual shadow of Red Immortal King, it seemed the immortal kings and emperors never returned after entering the Jiyu world. Yet the present power evidently required many immortal kings and emperors to simultaneously act to leave it. This was somewhat inconsistent with the original scenario. But Lu Yi was still somewhat skeptical. Logically, as a projection left from the Red Immortal King's power, if the Red Immortal King did return from Jiyu world, there's no reason he wouldn't have noticed. If so, wouldn't the residual shadow of the Red Immortal King have informed Lu Yi if those individuals had truly returned? At the moment, Lu Yi felt somewhat disoriented. Just as everyone was deep in thought, the ghostly light of the power lake suddenly rose in violent waves. Enormous distorted shadows flickered crazily under the ghostly light, fervent howls emanated from it, and the surrounding Jiyu Qi seemed to gain life, transforming into black tides rushing at Lu Yi and the others, attempting to engulf them. Upon seeing this, Lu Yi's pupils slightly contracted. The Taoist energy within him surged, forming a dense shield blocking the Jiyu Qi outside. The tide-like Jiyu Qi crashed against the Taoist energy barrier, causing it to ripple like water. Lu Yi felt some alarm. This Jiyu Qi was exceedingly powerful. Even after he completely merged the Taoist energy, it was still a bit shaken by the impact. Thankfully, although the barrier slightly trembled, ultimately, the Taoist energy barrier steadied and protected firmly. At this moment, Lu Yi's eyes flashed, looking towards the ghostly light of the power lake's direction. He noticed that the fate of that area seemed to show signs of disharmony. Chapter 849-401, The Savior. Chapter 849, Chapter 401, The Savior. The black shadow in the lake only existed for a moment before quickly disappearing, and the lake once again emanated a dim light. As the shadow vanished, the surging Jiyu Qi also calmed down. Seeing the Jiyu Qi calm down, Yu Cheng and the others breathed a sigh of relief. Yu Xuanyi, with some lingering fear, said, "What was that just now? Such a powerful presence, just a shadow, made me feel an enormous danger." It's important to note that Yu Xuanyi was an expert at the Immortal King level. Just a shadow appearing out of nowhere made him feel like he could die at any moment. This goes to show how powerful the other party was. This also left Yu Xuanyi speechless, as he was clearly already an immortal king, supposedly among the top beings in the universe. But after entering the Abyss ruins, he first encountered the terrifying Jiyu monster, and now this dreadful shadow, making him feel like his immortal king status was merely a facade. Next to him, Yu Cheng and Yu Yunqing also had complex expressions. Yu Cheng exhaled. Thankfully, we had Year with us, otherwise the previous disturbance of the Jiu Qi would have been too dangerous. Yu Yunqing nodded, deeply looking at that part of the lake and said, "What exactly is that?" Lu Yi shook his head. "I don't know, but..." Lu Yi looked at the previously disjointed area of fate, lost in thought. But Yu Cheng and the others looked at the silent Lu Yi, somewhat confused. Lu Yi smiled slightly without answering, and the next moment he appeared not far from the lake. There was a mysterious Tao light in his eyes, and the origin of destiny power was running at full strength. In his hand, a hazy glow flickered, slowly reaching towards a corner of the lake. Yu Cheng and the others still stood where they were, seeing Lu Yi's actions. Their eyes widened in astonishment. They couldn't understand what Lu Yi was doing. But in the next moment, they felt a dazzling glow. The lake, composed entirely of origin power, suddenly shook violently again. This time, in contrast to when the shadow appeared, the dim light suddenly became dazzling, like a constant star, radiating blinding light. At this moment, the dim light on the lake gradually condensed, outlining a figure. It was a handsome man with a single horn. Seeing this man, Yu Cheng and the others were all shocked. Fate Immortal King. They were not unfamiliar with this phantom before them. At the previous Immortal King's dojo of fate, they had seen statues and drawings with this man depicted on them. It was indeed the Fate Immortal King. Although Lu Yi had foreseen something through the discord in fate, he was still a bit surprised to actually see this projection of the Fate Immortal King. Lu Yi watched the phantom formed by the dim light warily, without speaking. Soon, the outline was complete, and the Fate Immortal King's expression shifted from vacant to lively. His gaze swept over and finally fixed on Lu Yi before he smiled. Indeed, the savior has appeared. Upon hearing this, both Lu Yi and Yu Cheng and the others were taken aback. Lu Yi raised an eyebrow and said, "The savior, me." The Fate Immortal King nodded, chuckling. "That's right, Jiu is too strong. We couldn't resist them alone, only you can." Lu Yi squinted, his eyes glinting. His mind soon calmed down. He knew his own situation well, with his foundation. As long as his cultivation base reached the Immortal King realm, dealing with the Immortal Emperor realm should be quite hopeful, even with Jiu demons all the same. If he reached the Immortal Emperor realm, then dealing with the Jiu world would indeed pose no significant issue. In a sense, as the phantom of the Fate Immortal King said, he was indeed considered a savior. Lu Yi's mind raced as he looked at the Fate Immortal King and said, "How do you know I can?" The Fate Immortal King smiled. "I spent the origin to deduce the destiny of the universe and saw a phantom in my dojo. Even I couldn't discern who it was from the river of fate, but now seeing you, I am certain." Lu Yi nodded slightly at these words, thought for a moment, and asked, "Was this deduced before you entered the Jiu world? Besides you, there should be many others leaving behind the origin power here, right?" Upon hearing Lu Yi's question, the Fate Immortal King couldn't help but chuckle. His expression became somewhat complicated, and he said, "No, it wasn't deduced before entering the Jiu world, but after entering. The origin power left here belongs not only to me but to all the comrades who are still alive and have not betrayed. It is through our collective effort that we could leave traces of destiny here, communicating with you. Unfortunately, my dojo was also destroyed because of this." Betrayal. Lu Yi listened quietly to the Fate Immortal King's explanation, quickly noticing a word he mentioned later. The Fate Immortal King's expression became abruptly complex, nodding slightly as he chuckled. "Yes, some immortal emperors have joined Jiu." This statement cast a silence over the entire scene. As Lu Yi was about to ask more, the Fate Immortal King spoke again. "I don't have much time. I can't foresee your destiny, but the current situation in Jiu is dire. The demon gods from those years are gradually awakening, and we don't know how long we can hold out. Get stronger as soon as possible. It could be next year, or 10 years later, or even 100 years later. I'm not sure when Jiu will once again enter the universe." Chapter 850-401, The Savior 2. Chapter 850-401, The Savior /2. As the Fate Immortal King spoke, the lake surged once more with a ghostly light. The phantom of the Fate Immortal King shattered, and a black shadow emerged again from within the lake, twisting and dancing. Furious roars echoed endlessly, and Jiu Qi surged once more. At this moment, Lu Yi was very close to the lake and could feel the terrifying aura emanating from the black shadow, one he could not withstand even now. His expression changed, and his figure flickered, disappearing from where he stood, reappearing beside Yu Cheng and the others, and once again condensed Taoist energy to form a shield. This time, the Jiyu Qi was even more violent than the last, almost breaking Lu Yi's Taoist shield. Fortunately, the black shadow disappeared in the end, and everything returned to calm. Lu Yi and Yu Cheng exchanged glances, their expressions extremely complex. Yu Xuanyi hurriedly said, "Year, see if you can communicate with that fate immortal king again, at least to tell us something about the Jiyu world, so we have some idea in our hearts." It's really difficult for them to work with just these few words. Lu Yi glanced over to find that the previously discordant area of fate had disappeared, likely no longer able to connect. Even so, he wanted to try again. Lu Yi once more operated the origin of destiny, attempting to communicate with the fate immortal king through the lake formed by the origin. However, the final result was clearly ineffective. He shook his head. No, the setup used before disappeared after use, and it can't be communicated again. These words left Yu Cheng and the others in silence, deeply disappointed. Lu Yi looked at the now calm lake, then at the surrounding dense Jiyu Qi and said, "Let's go, there's nothing here anymore." Yu Cheng and the others came back to their senses and nodded. They retreated to the camp, previously occupied by the Jiyu cultivators before stopping. After the four of them were silent for a while, Yu Xuanyi spoke. "So it seems, the immortal kings and immortal emperors who entered the Jiyu world did not die. They're still in the Jiyu world alive." Yu Cheng nodded. "That's good news. They're still resisting the Jiyu demons." Yu Yunqing calmly glanced at Yu Cheng and Yu Xuanyi, but the fate immortal king said they can't hold on much longer, and an immortal emperor even joined the Jiyu. Why is that? This was the longest statement Yu Yunqing had made. She had always been calm and indifferent, but the words of the fate immortal king evidently gave her a great shock. Lu Yi also couldn't understand why an immortal emperor would join the Jiyu. Was it out of fear of death, or another reason? Lu Yi thought it wouldn't be out of fear of death. If they truly feared death, those immortal emperors wouldn't have entered the Jiyu world in the first place, where even immortal emperors face a high risk of death. Evidently, they must have discovered something or learned something upon entering Jiyu, leading them to ultimately choose to join. However, the fate immortal king communicated with them, but it may not necessarily be out of goodwill. These words were spoken by the fate immortal king, who knows if he himself joined the Jiyu. But Lu Yi only thought this in passing. The possibility of the fate immortal king joining Jiyu was low. After all, the lake left behind so much origin power, clearly requiring the combined effort of many immortal kings and immortal emperors for the fate immortal king's power to breach the barrier and reach the universe. If the fate immortal king joined Jiyu, then it would probably involve many immortal kings and immortal emperors as well. If that's the case, not many would be left to resist the Jiyu demons, and it wouldn't be too difficult for the Jiyu demons to enter the universe. Another reason was that Lu Yi and the others knew nothing about the situation in Jiyu. If the fate immortal king had truly joined Jiyu, staying silent before, not communicating with Lu Yi, and quietly waiting for the Jiyu demons to burst out of Jiyu world and attack at a lightning-fast speed, wouldn't that be better? Why bother giving such a warning? As Lu Yi pondered, he spoke, "Perhaps something is attracting those immortal emperors." What could attract immortal emperors to join Jiyu, betray their own universe, even disregarding their own kin? Yu Cheng could not understand. Lu Yi shook his head. "I don't know. Maybe when we meet the fate immortal king in the future, we'll find out more." After Lu Yi spoke, everyone fell silent again. Yu Cheng sighed. Alas, who would have thought this abyss ruins was created by the fate immortal king and others to establish a connection with the universe? No wonder the space here is so unstable. Lu Yi nodded slightly. Previously, he had felt that the space here was too unstable, as if shattered by a terrifying force and slowly recovering. Now he understood. The fate immortal king, along with many immortal kings and immortal emperors, broke through the barrier between the Jiyu world and the universe, not by establishing a Jiyu channel to devour space lines, but by fracturing space. This had resulted in the entire area's space shattering. It seemed the Jiyu Qi had seeped out for this reason as well. Lu Yi was a bit relieved that at least no Jiyu channel was formed, so the Jiyu demons couldn't invade the universe through this spatial instability. However, the GU cultivators could probably communicate with GU strong ones through this instability. Lu Yi had some guesses about why the GU cultivators gathered, and understood that the GU monster that appeared was likely an immortal emperor-level figure from the GU world interfering through the spatial instability, transmitting their power over and forming it. His thoughts surged, then he smiled and said, "Anyhow, the gain from this venture into the Abyss ruins is considerable." Yu Cheng and the others brightened and nodded. Yu Xuanyi grinned, "Ha ha ha, indeed, at the very least, we dealt with so many GU cultivators at once. Who knows what trouble they might have caused later had we been unaware. Capturing them all is undoubtedly a great achievement. Moreover, we found out immortal kings and immortal emperors exist in GU world, which is equally uplifting." Yu Cheng smiled. As for the awakening GU demon gods, they had known about it earlier. Though the Fate Immortal King emphasized it, it merely made them more solemn without altering the core essence. Lu Yi smiled. "Since that's the case, let's scout the surroundings a bit more, then head back." With the Fate Immortal King's warning, Lu Yi felt the pressure from GU intensifying, wishing to retreat immediately, seclude himself, and reach the Immortal King realm to truly possess the strength to face the GU demon god. Yu Cheng and the others nodded in agreement. The four of them carefully scouted the area, finding no GU cultivators or anything unusual. They then left the depths of the Abyss ruins, heading outward. With Lu Yi using space origin and the origin of destiny, the space vortices and doom in the Abyss ruins had no effect on them. They easily left the Abyss ruins, returning to the universe outside. In the outpost outside the Abyss ruins, strong cultivators from both the Sky Falling Star domain and the Crystal Spirit Star domain were watching the internal situation closely. Seeing Lu Yi and his group emerge, Yu Xin and others quickly flew from the outpost to greet them. Yu Ying scanned the four, surprised. "Back so soon. Did you gain anything?" The others were equally surprised. After all, Lu Yi and the others hadn't been in the Abyss ruins for long. They instinctively assumed Lu Yi's group hadn't ventured deep into the Abyss ruins. Not even an immortal king could delve deep into the Abyss ruins. Upon hearing this, Yu Xuanyi grinned. "The gains are immense. We've ventured into the deepest part of the Abyss ruins and uncovered some secrets." Hearing this, everyone was stunned, eyes wide with astonishment. "You entered the deepest part and returned," Yu Yuanyu said incredulously. "Yes, we'll talk after we return," Yu Cheng nodded slightly. "All right." Chapter 851, 402, Breaking Through to Immortal King, Origin Heavenly Tribulation. Chapter 851-402, Breaking Through to Immortal King, Origin Heavenly Tribulation. After returning to the base, Elder Yu Cheng recounted all of the previous encounters. Upon hearing that there are actually a large number of GU cultivators deep within the Abyss ruins, the higher-ups from the Sky Falling Star domain, and the immortal venerable and immortal monarchs from the Crystal Spirit Star domain were all sweat-stricken. And upon realizing that these GU cultivators have been transformed into immortal king-level monsters, the cultivators present looked at each other in shock. It's vital to understand, there are no more cultivators in the immortal king realm across the cosmic plane, and if those three immortal king-level monsters were to break out from the Abyss ruins, it would be catastrophic. Fortunately, the three immortal king-level GU monsters were all killed on the spot, allowing everyone a sigh of relief. Afterwards, Elder Yu Cheng once again described the situation in the GU world told by the Fate Immortal King, where the GU demon gods are awakening one after another, and the GU demons are restless, which caused the experts of the Crystal Spirit clan to fall silent. Even the Yu family practitioners who were originally aware of the situation felt a heavy mood after receiving confirmation from the Fate Immortal King. Observing the gravity of the situation, Elder Yu Cheng deliberately refrained from mentioning the join of an immortal emperor into GU, fearing that some higher-ups might not withstand such news. After the account was finished, some Crystal Spirit clan cultivators left absent-mindedly, leaving only the higher-ups from the Sky Falling Star domain. After a period of silence, Yu Xin expressed disbelief. "So Elder Yu Cheng, if that's how it is, does this mean the GU demons could invade our cosmos at any time?" Elder Yu Cheng looked at him, then at the other cultivators with complex expressions, and nodded slightly. It could be just a few years later, maybe over a decade, hundreds of years. We really cannot be certain." The higher-ups of the sky-falling star domain exchanged worried glances among themselves, including immortal monarchs from other races besides the Yu family, all filled with shock. Seeing everyone's expressions, Elder Yu Cheng spoke up. The urgent task now is to focus on cultivation and try to enhance power as much as possible. Otherwise, when faced with the Jiyu demon's invasion, we won't stand a chance. After Elder Yu Cheng said this, Lu Yi remembered something and opened his mouth slowly. Right, Elder Yu Cheng, if possible, you could notify the powerhouses of other cosmic forces to come to Tiananmen to listen to teachings. I will continue to hold lectures periodically. With the impending disaster, every little enhancement counts. At these words, Elder Yu Cheng paused and then nodded seriously. Year is correct. Every little enhancement counts. I will send someone to notify the rest of the cosmic races. Further strategies were discussed among the group, and then Elder Yu Cheng and Lu Yi, along with several others, departed from the Abyss Ruins. After all, Lu Yi and the others had already figured out the situation inside the Abyss Ruins, leaving no reason to stay. However, Elder Yu Cheng still left behind a group of cultivators to guard the place. After all, the depths of the Abyss Ruins are still connected to the Jihu world regions. Even though it is not a Jihu channel yet, one never knows if an accident might occur and Jihu demons could emerge from there. Upon leaving the Abyss Ruins, Lu Yi and Elder Yu Cheng bid farewell to the group and returned to Tiananmen. For Lu Yi, closing off to cultivate is paramount. Similarly, he had communicated with Elder Yu Cheng and others that in the coming times, Lu Yi would dedicate himself to cultivation, except in cases of utmost importance, where no one shall disturb him. Naturally, Lu Yi intends to continue holding periodic lectures, as these wouldn't take him much time, but for other cultivators, it is a rare opportunity. Such a chance is incredibly crucial now. Lu Yi was somewhat worried. Even if he were to break through to the Immortal King realm, he might still not be able to single-handedly stand against all the Jiyu demons. So enhancing the power of other cosmic forces is certainly a step towards increasing the odds of success. If he isn't able to reach the Immortal King realm, the situation would indeed be dire. All he can do is hope for the Fate Immortal King and others to rally a bit more strength, at the very least to buy some more time. Upon returning to Ling Luo Peak, Lu Yi also relayed the situation to Liu Ningxuang and several others. This news left Liu Ningxuang and the others equally heavy-hearted. The group unanimously decided to retreat into seclusion to either enhance their cultivation base, comprehend immortal techniques, or grasp the origin power. While cultivating, even the Ling Luo Peak Master, including Liu Ningxuang, put aside their shame and engaged in dual cultivation, enhancing efficiency significantly. Back at Jade Star, Elder Yu Cheng dispatched Yu family practitioners to swiftly spread the word about the immortal kings and immortal emperors who have not yet perished and are still battling in the Jiyu world. Simultaneously, they conveyed the situation where the Jiyu world is showing disruptions and could potentially invade the cosmos at any moment. The universe is vast, and the dissemination of information isn't fast. However, one star domain after another received the news. Upon hearing the information, almost all the elite forces' immediate reaction was disbelief. Nevertheless, the higher-ups of these forces had become aware via prior broadcasts about the emergence of several immortal kings from the Yu family. Upon learning that this information came from the Yu family's immortal kings who ventured into the cosmic forbidden zone, the higher-ups fell into silence. Since ancient times, no immortal king-level powerhouses had emerged, and now the Yu family has suddenly produced several. If they wished to expand their power, they wouldn't need such excuses, as no force from neighboring star domains could oppose them. As long as the Yu family holds such intentions, other star domains could only submit. The higher-ups of various forces naturally do not believe this to be a ploy by the Yu family to expand their influence, but think that this event might indeed be genuine. Chapter 852, 402, Breaking Through to Immortal King, Origin Heavenly Tribulation 2. Chapter 852-402, Breaking Through to Immortal King, Origin Heavenly Tribulation /2. Even so, the higher-ups of the top-tier forces still found it hard to believe. After all, though the Jihu world now had Jihu channels emerging and Jihu demons rushing out, trying to enter the cosmos, apart from that, there had been no other actions. Now they were suddenly told that the Jiyu world could invade the cosmos at any time, and even brought along immortal emperor-level demon gods. How could they believe it? However, out of respect for the immortal kings, they still sent out strong individuals, planning to head to the Tianluo star domain to understand the situation better. For a while, the top-tier forces, which were originally focused on their own star domains, began moving and headed to the Tianluo star domain together. And when they entered the Tianluo star domain to learn the specific situation, and even went to listen to Luya's teachings, the representatives sent by the various forces became silent. Ultimately, a large number of powerful individuals from various star domains headed to the Tianluo star domain, took up residence there, intending to listen to Luya's teachings and enhance their strength as much as possible to survive the upcoming war. However, despite this, those who could come to the Tianluo star domain were still few. After all, apart from the Tianluo star domain and the Rashomon star domain, the Jiyu battlefields in other star domains still existed, and the Jiyu channels were not sealed by Luyi, so they had to send a large number of personnel to suppress the Jiyu battlefields. If not, they would be torn apart by the Jiyu demons, rushing out from the Jiyu battlefields even before the full-scale invasion. Although Luyi could help them seal the Jiyu channels, it would waste a lot of his time. How large is the entire universe? With so many Jiyu channels, if he were to repair them all, he wouldn't have time to cultivate. For Luyi now, increasing his cultivation base was the most important. His cultivation resources were already sufficient, solely from the Jiyu demons continuously emerging from the Jiyu channels in the Tianluo and Rashomon star domains, with no need for more. Thus, in the following period, Luyi was almost always in seclusion, coming out once every 50 years to distribute cultivation resources to his friends, relatives, and the strong individuals of the Yu family. As for others, the Jiyu channels in the two star domains couldn't yield enough for everyone. In fact, if there were more time, Luyi wouldn't mind sealing more Jiyu channels, then perhaps the entire universe would have cultivation resources. Unfortunately, time waits for no one. After exiting seclusion, Luyi would give a teaching. After breaking through to Immortal Venerable, Luyi's Tao light from his teaching was enough to cover the entire Tianming star system. At this moment, the Tianming star system was filled with a large number of powerful individuals from various star domains, who opened cave mansions on desolate planets, settled down to cultivate, and waited for Luyi's teachings, contemplating his Taoist skill. After the teachings, Luyi would go back into seclusion again, without even any time for rest or gatherings as before. He had to use every moment to increase his power. Thus time passed. Fortunately, for Luyi in the following hundreds of years, although there were occasional disturbances in the Jiyu battlefields, and some Jiyu demons even broke out, polluting a piece of starry sky, the Jiyu channels did not truly shatter, and no true strong individuals among the Jiyu demons appeared. And in these days, with his efforts of dual cultivation and personal secluded cultivation, Luyi finally reached the perfection of Immortal Venerable, just a step away from Immortal King, ready to break through at any time. As for the breakthrough location, Luyi had already planned it in the Tianming star system. After all, there were powerful individuals from various star domains in the Tianming star system. Moving so many strong individuals together to the Jade star would be too troublesome and waste too much time. For Luyi now, time was life. After Luyi spread the news of his impending breakthrough, Yu Cheng and others brought the cultivators of the Yu family to the Tianming star system to partake in this Tao tide. And after a month of preparation, Luyi started his breakthrough. Currently, Luyi had already completely fused with Taoist energy and had even begun merging chaos qi from the inner world. Through his closed-door meditation during these days, he also made great progress in origin power. After all, when Luyi used the Tao Immortal array to kill Jiyu demons rushing out of the Jiyu channels, there was a chance for him to be rewarded with faster insights into origin, although the probability wasn't high. But with so many Jiyu channels and a large number of Jiyu demons emerging and dying, such rewards were bound to happen. Luyi utilized these rewards, comprehending origin power quickly, much faster than his own normal understanding. To break through from Immortal Venerable to Immortal King requires understanding the Tao, merging the inner world with the Tao, and comprehending origin power. For Luyi, this was incredibly simple. For other Immortal Venerables, it might be a bottleneck that traps them for billions of years, but Luyi broke through it easily in a single breath. In the next moment, Lu Yi sensed the Tao quivering, and a heavenly tribulation was brewing. He looked up at the top of the cave mansion, his vision seemingly able to penetrate it and see the void, which was indeed the case. His body disappeared without any sign, not even causing a ripple in space, and in the next moment, he appeared in a barren vacuum outside the Tiananmen star system. After all, the heavenly tribulation at the Immortal King realm was bound to be mighty. If he broke through within the star system, he felt the entire star system might be destroyed, so he had to move away some distance. Even so, Lu Yi was certain that the Tao Tide could envelop the entire Tiananmen star system. As Lu Yi appeared, mysterious Tao light gathered in the sky, transforming into brilliant thunder light, shimmering with endless Tao patterns, all of which were origin Tao patterns. Seeing this, Lu Yi couldn't help but twitch his mouth. A heavenly tribulation condensed from origin power. The Tao was too ruthless, wasn't it? A heavenly tribulation like this was equivalent to using multiple origin immortal techniques as attacks. Even an immortal king, if targeted by such a heavenly tribulation, would likely despair. While Lu Yi was internally cursing, several auras rapidly approached nearby. The quickest were of course the Yu family immortal kings like Yu Cheng, followed by immortal venerables from various star domains, and then the immortal monarchs. Even the immortal venerables didn't dare stand as close as the few light years away, where the Yu family immortal king stood near Lu Yi, instead staying further away, fearing they might get caught in the crossfire. The residual impact of the immortal king-level heavenly tribulation wasn't something immortal venerables could endure. And when the Yu family's immortal kings saw the situation of the heavenly tribulation, the joyous smiles on their faces froze, looking utterly bewildered. This heavenly tribulation, completely composed of origin power, Yu Cheng felt his voice trembling uncontrollably. This was origin power. Seeing it all formed into a heavenly tribulation, Yu Cheng thought surviving 2 waves under such a tribulation would already make him proud. Yer has already comprehended the Tao for a long time, even starting to merge chaos qi of the inner world. Yu Cheng and the others heard Yu Yuanyu's words and came to their senses, looking at each other with a face of realization, then silently backed away. Although Yu Ying and others had not yet broken through, they had already reached the limit. Seeing Yu Cheng and others retreating, they looked bewildered but quickly followed. Yu Xin, who had not broken through for long, felt the numbness on his skin and couldn't help but twitch his mouth, saying, "Maybe we should step back a bit." He felt that at this position, even getting through 2 waves of such heavenly tribulation withstood would already be something to be proud of. The group retreated rapidly, as if there was a terrifying danger ahead. In front of the dazzling thunder light, Lu Yi looked up, his expression indifferent. The brilliance contained in it was like an endless storm, causing his heart to tremble fiercely. Chapter 853-403, The 9 Nether Demon God. Chapter 853-403, The 9 Nether Demon God. After the immortal venerable retreated, the immortal monarchs and weaker cultivators behind also retreated, obviously understanding the situation. After a while, the heavenly tribulation was completely condensed, and the terrifying power made Yu Xuanyi and the others involuntarily step back again. Then with a boom, the dim vacuum was completely illuminated. The origin power congealed into heavenly thunder, enveloping Lu Yi. Even Lu Yi felt excruciating pain all over his body, grinding his teeth. This heavenly tribulation, formed entirely by origin immortal skills, was extremely terrifying, equivalent to the full attack of an immortal king. Although Lu Yi's current strength was extremely formidable, after merging all the Taoist energy and even starting to incorporate chaos qi, his body was terrifyingly powerful, yet he still couldn't face such a heavenly tribulation without any damage. His flesh and blood shattered, blood spurted out, and scorched lines quickly appeared on his body. But almost simultaneously, strands of green radiance emerged on Lu Yi's body, quickly healing the ferocious wounds. Flesh and blood flowed back, and his body was restored. He used the natural law, which contained the power of life, capable even of resurrection, hence healing was certainly not an issue. Boom, boom, boom. Streaks of heavenly tribulation descended. Lu Yi's whole body was in severe pain, flesh torn, bones shattered. The pain was excruciating. However, he did not use immortal techniques to resist the attacks. Instead, he relied on his physical body to withstand the heavenly tribulation, using the power of nature to restore his body. He intended to temper his body, using this heavenly tribulation, formed entirely by Origin Immortal skills. As his body was continually destroyed, and then gradually restored, countless strands of Origin power surged and circulated on him, transmitting feedback to Lu Yi. His comprehension of various Origin powers improved rapidly. At the same time, Lu Yi's inner world turned into a phantom, flickering in and out of the real universe. Streaks of chaos chi with limitless hues surged within the phantom, transforming into colossal waves. And as the heavenly thunder tempered him, the chaos chi also quickly started to integrate into his body bit by bit. The chaos Tao pattern flickered uncertainly in Lu Yi's flesh and blood. The power entirely condensed from Taoist energy within him started incorporating strands of chaotic power. This power surpassed the Tao. Even if it was just a trace, it enormously enhanced him, much stronger compared to Taoist energy and far more powerful than immortal spirit Qi. Noticing such changes, Lu Yi was extremely excited, not expecting that the tempering from this heavenly tribulation would bring such a significant enhancement. This made Lu Yi even more satisfied, as he allowed the heavenly tribulation to temper his body. Streaks of Origin heavenly thunder fell, the Tao tide soon appeared, countless cultivators sat cross-legged, immersed in comprehension. Unfortunately, no cultivator noticed the phantom surrounding Lu Yi. No cultivator saw the chaos chi swirling around him. Meanwhile, in the depths of the dark Jiyu world, the disorderly movement of matter rendered time and space meaningless here. And the power filling the Jiyu world, opposite to that of the real universe, was tainted with depravity and wickedness, bringing forth numerous similarly wicked Jiyu demons in this chaotic world. At present, in a certain space in Jiyu world, Taoist energy surged, transforming into a turbulent tide, driving the surrounding Jiyu Qi to spread like a tsunami in all directions. And in various regions of this world, powerful auras gushed out, manifesting as enormous black shadows, shrouding entire star systems and even star domains. All the black shadows turned to look at the region from which the Tao tide originated, their sinister chaotic gazes deeply fixed on the chaotic phantom at the heart of the Tao tide, eyes flickering with intense madness. Chaos. In the next moment, auras surged around them, emitting wicked roars, as endless Jiyu demons within the Jiyu world heard the roars and converged towards the gigantic figures. Meanwhile, in another region, the immortal kings and immortal emperors from the real universe likewise looked towards the area of the Tao tide, their expressions drastically changing. This is too exaggerated. It's over, this time probably all the demon gods have awakened, we can't stop it. Has that savior already broken through to the immortal emperor realm, so fast? With such power, I wonder if it can contend with all the Jiyu demon gods. This also includes Yun Yan immortal emperor, no, Yun Yan demon god and Bu Yue demon god. The group of immortal kings and immortal emperors discussed among themselves, bearing more or less injuries, facing pale, even the immensely powerful immortal emperors, though full of presence and deep expression, appeared somewhat weak in aura. They had been fighting for too long. At this moment, their expressions grew grave. The Tao tide, more formidable than they had envisioned, made it clear that Jiyu's anticipated invasion into the universe might significantly advance. Streaks of heavenly thunder fell, Lu Yi's flesh and bones oscillating between tearing and regenerating, persisted for a long time, until the origin heavenly thunder in the sky was exhausted, and the heavenly tribulation completely disappeared. Lu Yi's right arm was broken, his body drenched in blood, even his aura was slightly weakened. The next moment his flesh and bones writhed, his arm quickly regrew, the blood reabsorbed, fully restoring his flesh. He exhaled slightly, sensing his state, showing a delighted smile. Chapter 854-403, 9 Abyss Demon God 2. Chapter 854-403, 9 Abyss Demon God /2. Under the tempering of the origin thunder tribulation this time, his various origin insights have already surpassed the great success, and there's only one step away from perfection. Moreover, his body has merged with a significant amount of chaos chi, and his physical strength has multiplied several times compared to before the breakthrough, while the Taoist energy has also multiplied in quality by merging with chaos chi. In addition to this, Lu Yi's divine sense can easily encompass the entire sky-falling star domain, and with some effort can even radiate to other star domains. He gave it a try, and even the nearby Rashomon star domain and Crystal Spirit star domain were encompassed. He felt that the limit of his divine sense should be around 1,000,000 light-years. Within 1,000,000 light-years, when Lu Yi's divine sense sweeps over, almost nothing can hide. This made Lu Yi a bit delighted. At this moment, his strength should be much stronger compared to an immortal king, though he wasn't sure how it compared to an immortal emperor. And after passing the heavenly tribulation and breaking through to the immortal king realm, Lu Yi's task was also completed, and the reward was what Lu Yi had speculated before: the acceleration of the fusion speed of Chaos Qi. With the acceleration of the fusion of Chaos Qi, every aspect of him will experience even greater improvements. Looking around, the Tao tide was not yet over, and the surrounding cultivators were still in seclusion comprehending, and Lu Yi did not disturb everyone. He disappeared from his original spot, returned to inside the cave mansion, and began to attempt faster fusion of Chaos Qi. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, a year had gone by, and only then did the Tao tide disappear, and the cultivators who had experienced sudden enlightenment under the Tao tide all awoke. Yu Cheng and others opened their eyes, glanced at each other, with eyes full of incomparable excitement. Indeed, the power contained in this Tao tide is so mysterious and exquisite that even now, I still can't fully understand it. Yu Cheng sighed. Yu Xuanyi, Yu Yunqing, and several other Yu family ancestors who had broken through to the immortal king realm also nodded. I even feel that some insights are entirely hazy, impossible to see clearly. Yes, Year has only just broken through to the immortal king realm, yet on this path, he has gone much further than us. On the side, the Yu family ancestors like Yu Ying, who hadn't yet broken through to the immortal king realm, were extremely delighted. I feel like I'm already able to break through to the immortal king, Yu Ying said in surprise. Another few days, and I should be able to directly break through. Hey, by the time you break through, we'll be almost at the second layer of the immortal king. Yu Xuanyi chuckled cheerfully, causing Yu Ying, who was beside him, to roll her eyes speechlessly. The many cultivators on the side were also excitedly discussing their own gains, marveling at how strong Lu Yi's strength was, all extremely excited. After all, their gains were also incredibly massive, with quite a few cultivators having broken through their realm during the Tao tide, while others had elevated their law comprehension to a higher level. There were all kinds of gains. Just then, a breath came from a very far place. This breath was eerie and terrifying. Even all the Yu family's immortal kings had their bodies stiffen and their faces pale. More fragile cultivators were even covered in cold sweat, their bodies beginning to tremble involuntarily. Yu Xuanyi looked in horror towards the direction the breath came from, exclaiming, "This breath is Jihu Qi. How is it possible? Wasn't the Jihu channel sealed by Year? So powerful, this Jihu Qi is too strong." Yu Cheng's face was also pale, murmuring in a low voice. Strong cultivators of the Immortal King and Immortal Monarch levels could barely stabilize their emotions, while other cultivators were somewhat at a loss, not knowing what to do. At this moment, Lu Yi's body suddenly appeared beside Yu Cheng and the other people. His expression was extremely solemn, causing Yu Cheng and the others' hearts to sink, feeling a bad premonition. "Year, what happened?" Yu Xuanyi asked. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yi slowly said, "It's the aura of an immortal emperor level. It should be a demon god of the Jihu world." Lu Yi had originally been cultivating, and found it hard to believe to sense such a powerful aura. He originally thought there was still some time, but unexpectedly, the demon god of Jihu had already fully awakened at this moment, capable of breaking through the Jihu channel and charging out of the Jihu world. This was something he had never expected. Could it be that the commotion caused by this breakthrough was too big? Lu Yi suspected this might be the reason. After all, the Tao tide caused by his breakthrough this time had already enveloped a region of more than hundreds of thousands of light years, encompassing a large part of the sky falling star domain. Such a commotion far surpassed the last breakthrough, probably having an even greater impact on the Jihu world. Lu Yi had thought about greatly reducing the time for the Jihu demon god to break out of the cosmos, but had not anticipated it would be so fast. And the strength of the Jihu demon god is so powerful that even the Tao immortal array he had previously arranged couldn't withstand it. In just a moment, Lu Yi felt that the Tao immortal array shattered, and the demon god of Jihu had already burst out of the Jihu channel. He had to go out immediately to face that Jihu demon god. An existence of the immortal emperor level, Yu Cheng and others were silent for a while. When they felt that aura, they had a vague conjecture in their hearts because the aura was too powerful. However, they didn't dare to think in that direction. Unexpectedly, it really turned out to be a strong individual of the Immortal Emperor level. However, being powerhouses who have fought in the Jiyu battlefield for millions of years, Yu Cheng and others quickly regained their composure. Yu Xuanyi grinned and quickly said, "Since they've already come to us, we can't sit and wait for death." Yu Cheng nodded, looking at Lu Yi. "Year, take us over there. Besides demon god level Jiyu demons, I'm afraid there are many other levels of Jiyu demons present." Lu Yi gently nodded. "Oh." He then looked at the not far away Ling Luo Peak Master and others. During this few hundred years of seclusion, under the plentiful resource supply from Lu Yi, Liu Ningxuang and others have all reached the golden immortal peak level, cultivating at an extremely fast pace. And the Tao Tide of this year allowed them all to break through their bottlenecks, now all having reached the immortal monarch realm, even catching up with the older generation of the Yu family's powerhouses. The Ling Luo Peak Master and others naturally also heard Lu Yi's words, with each of their expressions serious, nodding minutely. Besides Yu Xin, Yu Xianyan, and others were also extremely grave in expression. Lu Yi glanced at the more distant place. The strong ones from all over the universe, taking a deep breath, passed the information to the many strong ones. Upon hearing Lu Yi's words, the cultivators who were originally flustered became paler, dumbfounded. They also sensed that irresistible aura, initially thinking that at most it would be a strong entity of the high immortal king level, completely unexpected that it turned out to be an immortal emperor level. However, they also understood, if Lu Yi and others are unable to resist, then there would be no strong figure in the entire universe capable of resisting such Jiyu demons. For this reason, even if they weren't powerhouses of the sky falling star domain, even coming from various star domains, at this moment, they also decided to head to the Jiyu battlefield with Lu Yi and others to resist the Jiyu demons together. Lu Yi wasted no time. A profound stream of light flickered in his eyes, the surrounding space twisted. He took all the cultivators to the Jiyu battlefield, where the aura was coming from. That was originally the Minjuan battlefield, which was of immortal venerable level. Upon arriving, Lu Yi found that the small world originally belonging to the Minjuan battlefield had been utterly torn apart. The cultivators who originally stayed there had long since disappeared, and even the base was nowhere to be found. The Jiyu Qi at the place was unimaginably dense. Everywhere was the deep black Jiyu Qi, and even the situation in depth could not be seen clearly. The black mist spread over several light-year regions, consuming all the planets and constant stars within this range. Everything seemed plunged into a deathly silence. Seeing this, Lu Yi and others all frowned. More cultivators were terrified inside. This Jiyu Qi was too dense, the range too large. Such Jiyu Qi, even without Jiyu demons, is extremely difficult to handle, let alone there are strong Jiyu demons within. At this moment, the mist in the black mist surged. There were hoarse whispers in everyone's ears. Lu Yi brought here were all powerhouses from various star domains, the weakest having a cultivation base of golden immortal level. And those golden immortal level powerhouses, upon facing the whispers, heard a low groan, faces turning pale, blood flowing from 7 orifices. Their aura suddenly weakened. The language of the whispers they couldn't understand, but they understood the meaning. "We meet again." The black mist swirled. Silhouettes of Jiyu demons flew out, the leader being a humanoid Jiyu demon, surrounded by numerous waving tentacles, his aura terrifying and eerie. Even the surrounding space seemed to be consumed by the Jiyu Qi emanating from his body. It was exactly the same humanoid Jiyu demon that Lu Yi had encountered in several Jiyu battlefields. Moreover, this time this Jiyu demon was clearly the main body. Chapter 855, 404 Tao Treasure. Chapter 855, -404 Tao Treasure. Lu Yi looked at the humanoid Jiyu demon god before him and spoke slowly. "Why is there only one demon god level expert like you? If it's just you, you might not be able to handle me." The humanoid Jiyu demon god heard this, and its tentacles danced. "Can I handle you? That's not for you to decide. As for the other demon gods, I'm afraid you won't be able to see them." As he spoke, the Jiyu Qi around the humanoid Jiyu demon god surged, and Lu Yi immediately felt countless sharp whispers ringing in his mind, making his head feel as if it were being pierced by needles. The next moment, its tentacle waved, and a gigantic pitch-black tentacle condensed in front of Lu Yi and slapped down towards him. Lu Yi remained calm, the space in front of him twisted, tearing the tentacle apart. Then, Liu Ningxuang and a few others next to Lu Yi exchanged a glance and turned into streams of light, merging into Lu Yi's forehead, becoming the Tao Yin Yang Tao pattern. Lu Yi's aura immediately surged. His cultivation base increased, elevating from just breaking through to the Immortal King realm to the 4th level of Immortal King. Then he took a step forward, arriving beside the Jiyu demon god. The Heavenly Heart technique operated, various origin powers ignited, transforming into Lu Yi's strength, causing his cultivation base to rise again, stopping only when it reached the Immortal King 8th layer. Reaching the Immortal King realm, the Heavenly Heart technique, which was only an immortal technique level art, could no longer compare to its effect when his cultivation was low. Nevertheless, Lu Yi's foundation was solid. Even though it was merely from the 1st to 8th level of Immortal King, the power it brought was still considerable, multiplying his strength several times over. He reached out. The space around him and the Jiyu demon god twisted simultaneously, their bodies disappearing from their original spot, leaving the real universe and entering a different space full of bizarre colors. If powerhouses at the Immortal Emperor level were to battle in the real universe, the entire sky, falling star domain might turn to ashes. For the Jiyu demon god, perhaps it doesn't matter, but Lu Yi cares. After all, whether it's the Jade Star or Tiananmen Star, these are places Lu Yi cherishes and wishes to protect. They hold his friends and family. In the twisted different space, the Jiyu demon god surged with Jiyu Qi, immediately breaking free from Lu Yi's restraint. The surrounding space shattered, cracks appeared, and the real universe lay beyond them. Then it vanished from its original place, instantly appearing in front of Lu Yi. Many tentacles extended from behind it, probing towards Lu Yi, carrying the extremely menacing Jiyu power. Lu Yi's expression was cold. The 9 heavens tribulation fire burned in his hand. The next moment, flames rose on the Jiyu demon god, its body trembled, and a piercing scream erupted from all directions, as if countless sinister creatures were trapped on this Jiyu demon god. This scream turned into sound waves, spreading in all directions. Where they passed, more space cracks appeared, and Lu Yi was momentarily paralyzed amidst the screams. Boom, boom, boom. The next moment, the Jiyu demon god's tentacles took the opportunity to strike against Lu Yi. Lu Yi's body was sent flying, shattering twisted light spots in the different space, stirring up a storm in the distorted space. After retreating some unknown distance, Lu Yi came to a stop, his expression calm, his body shimmering with mysterious brilliance, with Taoist energy emanating from him. At this moment, Lu Yi's physical body was extremely strong. Even though the Jiyu demon god's attack caused him pain, it was still bearable. Confronting the 9 heavens tribulation fire, the Jiyu demon god also showed great power, as the fire that burned from the divine soul had a significant suppressing effect on other levels of Jiyu demons. But for this humanoid Jiyu demon, the effect was not ideal. The Jiyu Qi surged, extinguishing the 9 heavens tribulation fire rapidly. The Jiyu demon god's gaze pierced through countless spaces, fixing on Lu Yi. Upon seeing the Taoist energy on Lu Yi, its deep dark red eyes flickered with light, filled with intense greed. Such rich Taoist energy. But the next moment, a hint of doubt and shock appeared in its eyes. Besides Taoist energy, you have another power, even stronger than Taoist energy. Could it be Chaos Qi? Upon sensing that trace of Chaos Qi, the dark red in the Jiyu demon god's eyes became even deeper, exuding a gaze that wished to devour Lu Yi whole. Unexpectedly, it's Chaos Qi. Ha ha ha. Who would have thought you possess Chaos Qi? No wonder you're so powerful for someone at just the Immortal King realm. If I could consume you, I'd take the final step. The next moment, it disappeared from place again, charging towards Lu Yi. Facing the Jiyu demon god's greed, Lu Yi remained calm and moved to meet it. In the different space, the figures of the two appeared and disappeared. Jiyu Qi and Taoist energy surged, shattering space, as if the different space were breaking like mirrors. As a Jiyu demon god, the humanoid Jiyu demon possessed immense power, while Lu Yi, though merely at the Immortal King realm, had a solid foundation. Relying on the Tao Yin Yang secret skill and Heavenly Heart technique, along with Taoist energy and Chaos Qi, he possessed a power that didn't lose to the Jiyu demon god. Their battle almost disrupted the entire different space, filling it with space vortices. Chapter 856, 404 Tao Treasure 2. Chapter 856, 404 Chapter Tao Treasure /2. However, the space vortex, violent enough to tear apart an immortal king in an instant, had no effect on Lu Yi and the Jiu demon god. Even within the vortex, the two continued to focus solely on each other. Various origin powers were unleashed by Lu Yi: space, destiny, thunder, fire, and so on. Numerous origin immortal skills enveloped the Jiu demon god. The tentacles around the Jiu demon god waved, the pitch-black Jiu Qi carrying unparalleled might, fending off all attacks while aptly counterattacking. The battle between them was at a stalemate. Meanwhile, during the fierce battle, within the sky-falling star domain, numerous Jiu demons emerged from the black fog formed by Jiu Qi. The strength of these Jiu demons ranged from reaching the immortal king realm to some at the immortal monarch realm, with most being below golden immortal. The Jiu demons were densely packed, an overwhelming number reaching billions. Faced with so many powerful Jiu demons, Yu Cheng and others looked grim. Especially upon seeing that there were 11 Jiu demons at the immortal king realm, everyone turned pale. There are actually so many Jiu demons at the immortal king level. Year is not here. We don't even know if we can handle that Jiu demon god, unable to help us. With so many Jiu demons at the immortal king level, how can we cope? Yu Cheng and a few others looked extremely grim. The powerful ones behind them were even more agitated. As Yu Cheng and the others were overwhelmed with fear, the Jiu demons hesitated not for a bit, roaring as they charged toward them. Here they come, no matter what, we must hold them off. If we can't withstand them, then the universe likely won't have any other forces to stop these beasts. A group of powerful figures from the universe roared, seeing the Jiu demon god approaching fiercely. After all, present were newly emerged immortal king-level powerhouses and a plethora of the strongest figures from various star domains. Even if not half the universe's forces were gathered here, a third were, not counting the immortal kings. And what they faced was merely a fraction of the Jiu demons. If even these couldn't be repelled, then the universe was doomed. Yu Cheng and the others exchanged glances, their eyes revealing a resolute determination, prepared to burn their origin and exhaust their existence to drag these immortal king Jiu demons down. Only by holding them off can they await Lu Yi's victory over the Jiu demon god, saving the universe. Just then, the space ahead of the Jiu demons suddenly shattered, an endless space vortex instantly engulfing a portion of the Jiu demons, including 10 of Jiu demon god-level Jiu demons, and numerous Jiu demons at the immortal venerable and immortal monarch realm. Witnessing this, Yu Cheng and the others were stunned and then burst into exuberant joy. It's Year. He has struck, helping us eliminate a large number of Jiu demons at the immortal king level. Ha, this way we should be able to triumph over them. The group of strong individuals couldn't help but marvel at Lu Yi's formidable strength, with a single strike eradicating 10 Jiu demons at the immortal king level and numerous others at different realms. Taking advantage of the Jiu demons' hesitation, they let out low roars and charged toward the Jiu demons. The great battle was on the brink of eruption. In a different space, Lu Yi's eyes flickered with mysterious Tao light. Space origin power surged, completing an attack. Boom! As Lu Yi completed the attack, the tentacles of the Jiu demon god struck heavily towards him, forcing Lu Yi to retreat. Sensing Lu Yi's power fluctuations, the Jiu demon god's expression turned grim, surprised that Lu Yi, while engaged in a fierce battle with him, could still deal with the Jiu demons in the universe. This skill was astonishing even for one at the Jiu demon god level like him, making him somewhat frightened. Yet he was also somewhat relieved, glad that this human prodigy's breakthrough to the immortal king realm had created enough commotion for them to break open the Jiu channel. If given a little more time, allowing this human's power to reach the immortal emperor realm, then even all Jiu demon gods combined might not be a match for him. Upon contemplating this, the Jiu demon god charged towards Lu Yi once more. Meanwhile, he sneered repeatedly. So what if you can kill some Jiu demons? The Jiu demons nurtured within the Jiu world are endless. You cannot kill them all. Lu Yi gathered extremely cold frost, almost freezing the space, with the Jiu demon god's tentacles likewise trapped within. Boom! The ice shattered. The tentacles of the Jiu demon god bled profusely, but his rapid recovery ability swiftly healed his injuries. Lu Yi looked coldly and said, "Whether or not they can all be killed isn't for you to decide." Simultaneously, an illusory inner world appeared around Lu Yi. Within the inner world, chaos qi surged. Some supreme power flowed out, causing the Jiyu demon god to momentarily freeze. In that instant, the Jiyu demon god suddenly exploded, turning into black mist dispersing. At the same moment, not far away, his body reformed. For the first time, the Jiyu demon god's expression became serious and wary, gazing at the inner universe, eyes filled with disbelief. Chaos Qi, so much Chaos Qi, how can it be? Chaos Qi to beings in the Tao world is purely legendary. Even for the Jiyu demon god, the pinnacle existence in the Jiyu world, it's unobtainable. Chapter 857, 404 Tao Treasure 3. Chapter 857, -404 Tao Treasure /3. Even for the Taoist energy, let alone the chaos energy, they are just as covetous. It is precisely for this reason that the Jiyu demon god fixated on Lu Yi. Not only him, but the other Jiyu demon gods also set their sights on Lu Yi. However, despite this, the Jiyu demon god never imagined that Lu Yi actually possessed so much chaos energy. This much chaos energy could be called a chaos sea. This left the Jiyu demon god utterly shocked. If such a vast amount of chaos energy were absorbed, to what extent could it reach? Even the Jiyu demon god could not fathom. Just at that moment, the chaos energy surged, and within the inner world appeared a crimson ancient bell. Carved with endless flames, the ancient bell immediately made the different space blazing hot upon emerging, even threatening to fracture at any moment. Immortal Flame Emperor Bell. Initially an innate treasure, the Immortal Flame Emperor Bell, tempered in chaos energy and infused with immortal materials rewarded from slaying Jiyu demons, had undergone a fundamental transformation, reaching the level of a Tao treasure, even containing traces of chaos energy, more powerful than typical Tao treasures. Upon its appearance, the Immortal Flame Emperor Bell resonated, emitting a sound as if traversing through time and space. Boom! Crimson flames ignited on the Jiyu demon god's body. The power of these flames eclipsed that of the 9 heavens tribulation fire and possessed an indestructible nature. Even as the Jiyu demon god used Jiyu Qi to isolate and attempt to extinguish it, he could not completely put out the crimson flames. The crimson flames burned, turning strands of Jiyu Qi into dissipating black mist. At last, the face of the Jiyu demon god changed. His expression twisted slightly, the tendrils behind him flailing, and a sharp, frenzied voice resounded, as Jiyu Qi transformed into a storm, enveloping him, nearly shrouding the crimson flames in a black tempest. Even with the indestructible nature, the flames were gradually being suppressed by the Jiyu Qi. Seeing this, Lu Yi's expression turned cold and grim as he again activated the Immortal Flame Emperor Bell. Dong! The bell chimed once more and the crimson flames surged, burning more fiercely. Roar! The Jiyu demon god let out a low roar of pain, and even his mighty demon god body bore traces of charred black beneath the crimson flames. In the next instant, he exploded, his body turning into black mist and vanishing alongside the crimson flames. However, his form reappeared not far away, reconstituting itself, yet the Jiyu Qi around him was noticeably thinner. A hint of coldness appeared in Lu Yi's eyes. Fortunately, he had previously forged powerful cultivation treasures with chaos energy, reserving some trump cards, otherwise the situation would have been really troublesome. Now that there was hope of defeating the Jiyu demon god, he naturally wanted to seize the momentum. At this moment, the Jiyu demon god suddenly laughed and said to Lu Yi, "The battleground you chose saved me a lot of trouble." As he spoke, the Jiyu demon god's right hand suddenly split apart, transforming into a giant black hole. From the black hole, vast amounts of aura surged forth, with the presence of many immortal kings, and even that of immortal emperor level. This made Lu Yi's pupils involuntarily contract, showing a look of astonishment. On the other side of the black hole was the Jiyu world. In the different space, is the barrier of the Jiyu world significantly weaker. Such a massive passage can be opened. Chapter 858, 405, The Immortal Emperors of the Past. Chapter 858-405, The Immortal Emperors of the Past. As the black hole appeared, a roar erupted and powerful energy fluctuations emanated from the black hole as figures charged out. These figures were shrouded in Jiyu Qi, resembling abyss evil ghosts. Some were enveloped in Taoist energy, with origin moving with them. After rushing out of the black hole, these figures did not stop, transforming into residual shadows that continuously collided within the different space. Under the battle between Lu Yi and the Jiyu demon god, the already fractured different space became even more tattered, seemingly at risk of affecting the outside universe at any moment. A low shout immediately echoed, "Block the space rift, don't let the battle fluctuations escape the different space." As the words were spoken, a universe condensed from origin power suddenly appeared, shrouding the surrounding space and sealing off the rifts in the different space. Lu Yi sensed the surging Taoist energy, felt the familiar origin power, and revealed a hint of astonishment. This was the power from the reality universe, from the immortal kings and immortal emperors who entered the Jiyu world years ago. Lu Yi's eyes swept over and quickly spotted figures shuttling within the different space, some human, some alien, consisting of both human and demon clans. Lu Yi even saw a familiar figure, a handsome man with a singular horn. Fate lines intertwined around him, his inner universe seemingly transformed from the origin of destiny, with every move bringing him good luck, while bringing misfortune to the opponents he battled, disrupting their fate tracks. Fate Immortal King. However, what shocked Lu Yi was that the Fate Immortal King was not in the Immortal King realm, but had already reached Immortal Emperor level strength, being extremely formidable. His opponent was also a powerhouse of Jiyu demon god level, and there were two of them. Faced with two Jiyu demon gods, even at the Immortal Emperor level, the Fate Immortal King was still suppressed and could barely hold off the two demon gods. Aside from that, Lu Yi also saw immensely dense scarlet flames. The owner of these flames was a dark red-skinned man, whose appearance was identical to the residual shadow of the Red Immortal King. It was indeed the Red Immortal King, who had also entered the Jiyu world back then. The Red Immortal King's body was covered with scars, bleeding heavily, and his aura was much weaker than before. He, too, was being attacked by two Immortal King-level powerhouses, and what surprised Lu Yi was that one of them was not a Jiyu Immortal King, but also an Immortal King from the universe. This Immortal King was enveloped in Jiyu Qi, as if he had transformed into a Jiyu cultivator, betraying Immortal King of the reality universe. Lu Yi immediately recalled the situation he had learned at the Abyss Ruins before. Some immortal kings and immortal emperors had betrayed the universe and joined Jiyu. This immortal king was one of them. Lu Yi scanned the entire battlefield and found no fewer than 11 Jiyu demon gods. Adding in the two immortal emperors enveloped in Jiyu Qi, there were 13 in total, which, including the Jiyu demon god before Lu Yi, made 14 immortal emperor-level powerhouses. In the reality universe, only 5 immortal emperor-level powerhouses remained. Faced with the siege of 13 Jiyu powerhouses at the immortal emperor level, they could only delay, finding even counterattacks extremely difficult. Seeing this, Lu Yi's pupils slightly contracted, understanding how dire the current situation was. Jiyu's strength exceeded his expectations, and even including him, the reality universe was at an absolute disadvantage in top-tier strength. The disparity at the Immortal King level was similarly significant, with the number of immortal kings among the Jiyu demons exceeding that of the reality universe by more than double, and almost all of the reality universe's immortal kings were facing a siege. The great battle spread in the different space, and even though the inner universe was used to seal the rifts, such violent combat continued to shatter the different space. It wouldn't take long before this piece of different space completely shattered, and by then, with the aftermath of battles involving so many powerhouses, the entire sky-falling star domain might turn into ruins in a short time. Opposite Lu Yi, the black holes surrounding the humanoid Jiyu demon god vanished as all the Jiyu world powerhouses burst out, turning back into arms. He looked coldly at Lu Yi, with a smile on the face shrouded in black mist. "Now can you deal with us?" Lu Yi's expression was icy, his eyes swept over the turbulent different space, with chaos chi flickering in his gaze. In the next moment, he forcibly controlled the not yet fully formed inner universe, which continuously expanded, with chaos chi surging within. Soon, the inner universe enveloped the entire area, incorporating the inner universes of surrounding immortal kings and immortal emperors. Chaos chi surged around, incredibly sturdy, and even battles between immortal kings and immortal emperors couldn't penetrate the chaos chi or shatter the different space. As Lu Yi urged the inner universe, the surrounding great battles came to a halt. Whether Jiyu demons or powerhouses of the reality universe, all gazed at the illusory Chaos Qi, their eyes flashing with incredulous expression. Chaos Qi. It is actually Chaos Qi. Voices, whether frantic, sharp, or shocked, echoed within the different space, with all the powerhouses reacting the same way as the humanoid Jiyu demon god did before, revealing expressions of disbelief upon seeing the Chaos Qi. Soon afterwards, Luya felt a flood of greedy, covetous eyes fall upon him. All the Jiyu demon gods, Jiyu immortal kings, Jiyu cultivators, aimed their gaze at Luya. Chapter 859, 405, The Immortal Emperors of the Past 2. Chapter 859-405, The Immortal Emperors of the Past /2. Luya even felt quite a few gazes from immortal kings and immortal emperors. Their expressions flashed with complex emotions. Luya exhaled slightly, squinting as he looked at all the cultivators around him. The next moment, an immortal emperor enveloped in radiant flames came to his senses and spoke. "Block these demon gods." As he spoke, 5 immortal emperors simultaneously retracted their gazes and looked at their opponents, their breaths surging, alert and watchful. The immortal kings too returned to their senses, most looking at their opponents, with a few still casting glances towards the Chaos Qi in the sky from time to time. At the same time, nearly all the Jiyu demons and Jiyu cultivators went mad, roaring and howling, charging at Luya. They aimed to devour Luya entirely, along with the Chaos Qi surrounding him. Immortal emperors and immortal kings made their moves as well, doing their utmost to block their opponents. However, despite this effort, quite a few immortal kings and immortal emperors broke through the blockade and charged toward Luya. After all, the number of immortal kings and immortal emperors among the Jiyu demons exceeded that of the real universe significantly. Merely relying on the remaining immortal kings and immortal emperors, they simply can't stop so many powerful beings. 6 Jiyu demon gods and a large number of Jiyu immortal kings broke through the blockade, along with a humanoid Jiyu demon god originally opposing Luya. So many powerful beings, causing Luya's expression to gradually grow serious. Even though he had mastered a Tao treasure close to Chaos treasure, facing so many Jiyu powerhouses, he still found it difficult to remain indifferent. He shouted deeply. The immortal flame Emperor Bell trembled, spurting out clusters of crimson golden flames, transforming into fireballs like constant stars, rushing at the Jiyu demons. The intense heat surged. If not for the Chaos Qi enveloping the surroundings, the different space would have been burned to ashes by now, and even the sky-falling star domain would be thoroughly reduced to ashes in an instant. At that time, all the people and things Luya cares about would vanish. Faced with such powerful attacks, the Jiyu demon gods also showed heavy expression, roaring and unleashing their most powerful forces to resist or dodge the fireballs akin to constant stars. Even so, stars still pierced through the blockade, landing amidst the Jiyu immortal kings. No screams, no cries. The Jiyu immortal kings, engulfed by crimson golden flames, instantly turned into the purest form of Jiyu Qi, and then even the Jiyu Qi evaporated under the crimson golden flames. In an instant, a large batch of Jiyu immortal kings perished. However, the constant stars were unable to substantially harm the Jiyu demon gods. After resisting or evading the attacks, the Jiyu demon gods approached Luya again, with the humanoid Jiyu demon god being the closest. Tentacles surged around him, transforming into terrifying black holes, intending to tear Luya into pieces. Luya's body flickered with origin power, isolating the suction outside, once again urging the immortal flame Emperor Bell. Flames burned on the humanoid Jiyu demon god's tentacles. As the tentacles danced, the black holes dissipated. Mouths opened on the tentacles, emitting piercing screams. After repelling the humanoid Jiyu demon god, Luya glanced at the other nearby Jiyu demon gods, urging the immortal flame Emperor Bell again to repel them similarly. Even so, clusters of Jiyu Qi still penetrated the blockade, landing on Luya. The immortal Emperor-level attack sent Luya flying backward, his body cracking, blood flowing. But the next moment, strands of green light ignited on him, rapidly healing his wounds. Then, Luya's voice echoed in the minds of all the immortal emperors. "Esteemed seniors, if I give you a strand of Chaos Qi, can you enhance your power somewhat?" Under such massive pressure from the Jiyu demon gods, Luya understood that relying only on the freshly attained immortal king realm, he could merely hold on without defeat. Defeating these Jiu demon gods was utterly impossible. And his Taoist energy isn't infinite. Even though he's now fused with all his Taoist energy and even a wisp of chaos chi, reaching an extremely fearsome level of recovery ability. Yet, using the immortal flame Emperor Bell consumes significant power. Even he can't manage to fight continuously without consumption. According to the current rate of consumption, at most he could engage in fierce battles for decades before his power runs out. By then he might have the will to counterattack, but not the strength. Therefore, Lu Yi could only turn to other immortal emperors. If other immortal emperors could hold off these immortal kings and immortal emperors, giving him some time, he could use the special trait of Chaos Chi to isolate himself, bolstering himself as much as possible. After reaching Immortal King Realm, his reward was accelerated fusion with Chaos Chi. In mere years since his breakthrough, the fusion progress of Chaos Chi in his body exceeded the time span of tens of thousands of years prior. And as long as he's given a few decades, even if he can't break through the realm, by fusing more Chaos Chi, he could have the power to fight these Jiu demon gods. But this relies on time. Lu Yi could only seek assistance from these immortal emperors. Although this was Lu Yi's first meeting with these immortal emperors, judging from their willingness to enter the Jiu world, disregarding their safety to resist Jiu demons, and from their quick recovery upon seeing the inner universe formed by Chaos Chi, they should choose to help Lu Yi delay. Besides, offering Chaos Chi would be a dream come true for these immortal emperors. Lu Yi's sole uncertainty was whether these remaining immortal emperors could withstand so many Jiu demon gods, along with 2 Jiu turned immortal emperors. If they couldn't, then no matter how powerful Chaos Chi is, he was ultimately merely at the immortal king realm. While the inner universe could withstand the aftermath of battles, it certainly couldn't endure such massive assault from numerous Jiu powerhouses. By then, they might break into the inner universe, enter the real universe, and even attempt to consume the Chaos Chi within the inner universe. This was something Lu Yi absolutely could not accept. Hearing Lu Yi's voice, all the immortal emperors were shocked, yet their combat actions didn't cease, continuously defending against attacks. They responded in their hearts. With Chaos Chi, our power could be further enhanced. While I can't ascertain whether we can withstand so many Jiu demon gods and those 2 traitors, the situation would surely be an improvement over now. We can give it a try. What are you planning to do? The Jiu Immortal King, no, now already Jiu Immortal Emperor countered in his heart. Lu Yi exhaled, once again using the immortal flame Emperor Bell to repel incoming Jiu demon gods, speaking in their minds. Give me 50 years, I need some time. 50 years. The voices in the hearts of all the immortal emperors echoed with surprise. They couldn't envision what could be achieved in 50 years. For an immortal emperor, even a nap exceeds 50 years. Such a time frame is too brief. Nevertheless, facing Lu Yi with so much Chaos Chi, they chose to trust him. Fate Immortal Emperor chuckled lightly, speaking, "Indeed worthy of being the savior, possessing such abundant Chaos Chi, truly envying. Even though I don't know what you plan, we can give it a try. Holding off these Jiu demon gods could earn us a strand of Chaos Chi. For us, it's a gain, ha ha ha." An immortal emperor as tall as a mountain laughed in their hearts. After all, seeking to transcend this Tao world, Chaos Chi is indispensable. Count me in. Other immortal emperors also expressed agreement one after another. Lu Yi exhaled lightly, while repelling Jiu demon gods, controlling the Chaos Chi of the inner universe to divide into 5 strands. These strands of Chaos Chi merged into the space, eventually entering the bodies of the immortal emperors. The immortal emperors, sensing the Chaos Chi within them, differing from yet superior to Taoist energy, flashed a joyful look in their eyes. While fighting, they embraced and digested the Chaos Chi, beginning preliminary use of the power of Chaos Chi. As immortal emperors, they achieved the immortal emperor level in ancient times, reaching the peak of Tao world over billions of years, unable to advance, their path blocked without Chaos Chi. Now that path had a glimmer of opening. Their power took a small step beyond the limit. Sensing the Chaos Chi transmitted from the immortal emperors' bodies, all Jiu demon gods and the 2 Jiu immortal emperors were stunned. Then they all turned their attention to them. Even those Jiu demon gods intending to attack Lu Yi were no exception. Chapter 860-406, Brutal Battle. Chapter 860-406, brutal battle. Chaos Qi, how is this possible? One of the Gu Immortal Emperors roared lowly, his eyes filled with a frenzied crimson. He couldn't believe it. In order to transcend, he had even fused with Jihu Qi, intending to take this step through the fusion of Jihu and the real universe. Yet even so, he still hadn't glimpsed any dawn of hope. And now, his once companions and opponents had so easily obtained that hope of transcendence, something he could not accept. After initially digesting the Chaos Qi, the Immortal Emperor's auras surged, bursting forth. Where they could originally only hold back a group of Jihu Immortal Emperors and Jihu Demon Gods, they could now press them in battle. In just a few rounds, several Jihu Demon Gods were forced to repeatedly retreat. Following this, a group of Immortal Emperors charged in the direction of Lu Yi, aiming naturally to hold back the Jihu Demon Gods attacking Lu Yi. Sensing the movement of the Immortal Emperors, the Jihu Demon Gods and Jihu Immortal Emperors immediately advanced again, trying to hold back the Immortal Emperors. Yet, taking a small step further at the limit of the Immortal Emperor realm had given them a significant leap in power. Simply relying on their previous formations, they could not hold them back at all. The Immortal Emperors arrived at Lu Yi's side, fulfilling their promise, shielding Lu Yi behind them, intending to buy him time. A group of Immortal Emperors transmitted their thoughts into each other's minds. Ha, who would have thought the effect of the Chaos Qi would be this good? I have a premonition that if I survive this great calamity, I should be able to transcend. The Savior is so generous, even gifting Chaos Qi. The voices of the Immortal Emperors sounded in Lu Yi's ears. Lu Yi's expression was calm. He exhaled slightly and transmitted his thoughts, saying, "If we get through this calamity, I will give you all a few more strands of Chaos Qi to help you transcend." These words made the eyes of the Immortal Emperors light up. Even just a strand of Chaos Qi gave them a glimmer of hope for transcendence, but if they had several more strands, their success chances would greatly increase. "It's a deal." Lu Yi looked at the Immortal Emperors, then turned to the Jihu Immortal Emperors and Jihu Demon Gods surrounding them in the distance, eyes full of greed, and slowly transmitted his thoughts. "I will leave the rest to you." As he spoke, the Tao Treasure, the Immortal Flame Emperor Bell, arrived above Lu Yi's head. Strands of crimson brilliance cascaded down, enveloping Lu Yi. Outside the light barrier, the Chaos Qi of the inner universe surged, enveloping both the barrier and Lu Yi inside. Lu Yi sealed himself within, preparing to seize the moment to fuse with the Chaos Qi and grasp the opportunity to counterattack. As the Chaos Qi surged, encapsulating Lu Yi, glints of cold light flashed in the eyes of the Jihu Demon Gods and Jihu Immortal Emperors. Suddenly, one Jihu Immortal Emperor looked at the Immortal Emperors and said, "Everyone, we've known each other for years. Now that the Chaos Qi is right before us, if you are willing, you can surely join forces with us. Slay that human and all the Chaos Qi will be ours." The nearby Jihu Demon God also spoke. "Our purpose of devouring the reality of Jihu is the same, to transcend. If we obtain the Chaos Qi, we will leave the real universe and return to Jihu, never attacking again. Yes, the Chaos Qi is right before us. Are you really willing to let it go?" Upon hearing the words of the Jihu Demon Gods and Jihu Immortal Emperors, the Immortal Emperor's gazes swept over, deeply looking at the Jihu Immortal Emperor who spoke first. He was a slim man with a lizard's tail. One of the Immortal Emperors sneered, "Your betrayal led to the demise of Cold Moon, and now you speak to us of an old friendship. What a joke." The Fate Immortal Emperor coldly added, "We would believe the words of you Jihu creatures. If you obtain the Chaos Qi, there will be no one left to restrain you." As they spoke, the Taoist energy swirled around them. Their respective inner universes emerged, enclosing the entire region where Lu Yi was located. They did not choose to believe the Jihu Demon Gods and Jihu Immortal Emperors. If they wanted to abandon the real universe, betray the reality, and join Jihu, they would have made that choice long ago, just like those two Jihu Immortal Emperors. But they had persisted until now. For them, the real universe was also the birthplace and growth place of their clansmen. Even if joining Jihu would allow Jihu to devour the real universe, giving them a chance to break the limits of the Tao and transcend, they still chose to face the Jihu demons. Even though over countless years they had been hunted and fled for their lives in the Jihu world, they never thought of joining Jihu. For this cause, some immortal emperors even sacrificed their lives. Now, after absorbing the Chaos Qi, their powers had greatly increased, and they had even greater hope than before. Naturally, abandoning was not an option. The Jiu demon gods and Jiu immortal emperors had long known the immortal emperor's intentions. Confronted with their determination, the Jiu demon gods and Jiu immortal emperors exchanged glances, and in the next moment, they attacked simultaneously. And as the great battle unfolded within the immortal flame Emperor Bell, the yin-yang Tao pattern flickered at Lu Yi's brow. The voices of Liu Ningxuang and the others echoed in his mind. "Junior brother, are you all right? Senior brother, what do we do next? You brats, should we come out now?" Facing everyone's inquiries, Lu Yi shook his head and said, "As long as I don't use my power, you won't exit your current state. The situation is urgent now. Maintain your yin-yang Tao pattern state. I need to fuse and absorb the chaos qi." Chapter 861-406, Fears Battle 2. Chapter 861-406, Fears Battle /2. At this point, Lu Yi paused slightly and then said, "When I absorb chaos qi, you will also gain insights into the chaos Tao pattern. I will consciously channel the chaos qi to you so you can absorb it with me. If you can merge with the chaos qi, your strength will also be assured. By then, the power of the yin-yang Tao pattern will also be enhanced, and our chances of winning will be greater." Upon hearing Lu Yi's words, Liu Ningxuang and the others naturally had no objections. The Tao pattern at Lu Yi's forehead flickered with mysterious Tao light as Liu Ningxuang and the others prepared themselves. Lu Yi exhaled slightly, then sat cross-legged in midair, ignoring the outside situation, and began to fully merge with the chaos qi. As Lu Yi merged, strands of chaos qi were absorbed by him, and the chaos qi outside also started to ripple, transforming into tides. The group of Jiu demon gods and Jiu immortal emperors noticed the changes, their expressions slightly grave. As beings of immortal emperor level, they naturally had certain conjectures. Subsequently, the faces of the Jiu immortal emperors and demon gods turned cold, and they intensified their attacks. Although chaos qi was absorbed, the number of immortal emperors in the real universe was still relatively small, only 5 in total. In contrast, there were a total of 14 Jiu demon gods and Jiu immortal emperors. The difference was close to threefold, and the immortal emperors of the real universe immediately felt immense pressure, their expressions grim. In fact, this was the first time they faced such a large-scale attack from so many Jiu demon god and immortal emperors. In the Jiu world, because the Fate Immortal King broke through to the Immortal Emperor realm, his perception of misfortune became stronger. Relying on his grasp of fate, under the guidance of the Fate Immortal Emperor, they could engage in guerrilla warfare with the Jiu demon gods and immortal emperors. Among them, several Jiu demon gods had been put to sleep after the first wave of attacks from the real universe's immortal kings and emperors, and awakened only recently. Because of this, although the immortal emperors experienced immense pressure in the Jiu world, they never faced such a lineup. At this moment, the pressure they felt exceeded that when they were in the Jiu world. However, now they have absorbed and digested chaos qi, greatly increasing their strength, making them stronger than before. For this reason, they could barely hold on. Yet how long they could hold on, they were not confident either. The only thought among the immortal kings and emperors was hoping that Lu Yi could quickly make a breakthrough. Only then could they hope to reverse the current disadvantage. Inside the different space, the immortal emperors battled fiercely with the Jiu immortal kings and emperors, while the immortal kings faced off against the Jiu immortal kings, the battle equally brutal. Thanks to Lu Yi previously wiping out a significant number of Jiu immortal kings with the immortal flame Emperor Bell, the situation for the real universe's immortal kings was not entirely dire. Even so, they still didn't know how long they could hold out. The battle inside the different space was extremely fierce, and the battle in the real universe was equally brutal. When the humanoid Jiu demon god charged out, countless Jiu demons also emerged, densely packed. Although the humanoid Jiu demon god entered the different space, and most of the Jiu immortal kings had already been dealt with by Lu Yi, the situation in the sky falling star domain was still bleak. A large number of Jiu demons surged out of the black mist, attacking the many cultivators of the real universe. Yu Cheng and other cultivators who had broken through to the immortal king realm were incredibly shocked, let alone those below the immortal king level. If it weren't for the Jiu demons, intent to devour the entire real universe, leaving no place to escape, many of them would have fled long ago. Now, without a retreat, the powerhouses from various star domains roared in defiance, resisting the Jiyu demons. These powerhouses hailed from different star domains, and among them, of course, were those who had faced battles on the Jiyu battlefield, familiar with fighting the Jiyu demons. However, no Jiyu battlefield had ever been as brutal as it was now. Every minute, every second, a powerhouse would fall, whether a golden immortal monarch, a cultivator from the real universe, or a Jiyu demon. At this moment, this region turned into the most merciless meat grinder. Yu Cheng battled a surviving Jiyu immortal king, issuing commands secretly. Notify all other star domain cultivators. The Jiyu demons have breached the real universe. If you don't want to die, quickly send reinforcements. Also, quickly bring out the array plates left by Year. Use them to fend off these Jiyu demons. Lu Yi had already thought ahead. If the Jiyu demons invaded the real universe, with an extremely low number of immortal kings compared to the overwhelming number of Jiyu demons, he had to find a way to take control and eliminate the Jiyu demons. Then Lu Yi came up with the idea of the Tao Immortal Array. When Lu Yi was in the Immortal Venerate realm, the Tao Immortal Array he arranged could seal the Jiyu channel, possessing formidable power. Lu Yi inscribed the Tao Immortal Array into array plates. Though due to material limitations, and the fact that the array plate's activation wasn't relying on Lu Yi himself, the power of the Tao Immortal Array was weaker than when he used it to seal the Jiyu channel. However, even so, Lu Yi could still ensure that, even when faced with Jiyu demons of Immortal King level, they would be trapped. If given enough time, they could also wear down a Jiyu Immortal King. Utilizing his spare time, Lu Yi utilized all the materials from his task rewards capable of creating immortal arrays, producing hundreds of Tao Immortal Array plates. Chapter 862, 406 Fears Battle 3. Chapter 862, -406 Fears Battle /3. These array plates, Lu Yi gave them to Yu Cheng and the other ancestors of the Yu family so that, if the Jiyu demons break out of the Jiyu world, in the situation where he is held up by the Jiyu demon god, the other cultivators would have the power to fight. Unfortunately, Lu Yi did not have materials capable of bearing immortal emperor-level power, coupled with his urgency to merge with Chaos Qi after his breakthrough to Immortal King. Otherwise, after breaking through to Immortal King, he could have attempted to craft a more powerful Tao Immortal Array. Yu Cheng and the other immortal kings of the Yu family, along with Yu Xin and other high-ranking members of the Yu family, at this moment took out the mysterious and profound array plates that flickered with Tao patterns. They activated the array plates, and formations that covered several light-years appeared. Within these formations, all Jiyu demons below the Immortal Venerable level were instantly annihilated, while those at the Immortal King level were suppressed. Seeing the significant effect of the array plates, the cultivators were filled with delight. The cultivators wielding the array plates began to kill and suppress the Jiyu demons. For a time, the previously shattered defensive lines were reversed, and a large number of Jiyu demons were slaughtered. One immortal array after another enveloped the black mist, keeping the charging Jiyu demons trapped within. The cultivators of the reality universe got a chance to catch their breath, though their faces were pale and most carried significant injuries on their bodies. Yet during this short battle, a large number of reality universe cultivators died. Looking around, corpses were everywhere, some of Jiyu demons, others were their friends and family. This made the cultivators of the reality universe red-eyed, staring in anger at the Jiyu demons continuously charging out from the black mist. In the area of Tiananmen, with the resources given by Lu Yi increasing, the strength of his friends and family was gradually improving. Cultivators with decent talent, like the heavenly dragon Saint Sun and Jiang Fan, had reached the golden immortal realm not long ago and came to participate in the great battle. Together with the many cultivators of the Yu family, in the fierce battle, Bai Yulong, Tai Man, and the heavenly palace Saint Sun and Saintess perished, their bodies floating in the void, leaving Jiang Fan and the heavenly dragon Saint Sun somewhat dazed. Then they looked towards the direction of the immortal array, and the heavenly dragon Saint Sun let out a muffled roar of anger. Damn Jiyu demons! Jiang Fan looked at the lifeless bodies of Bai Yulong and Tai Man, slowly closed his eyes and said softly, "Let's recover first." Although the array plates left by junior brother Lu Yi are powerful, they consume an immense amount of power. We don't know when the star marrow and star core he left will be exhausted. Then, we will have another great battle. Feng Bumming, the Thunder Sound Saintess, and others nodded slightly, sitting cross-legged in the void, recovering from their injuries. But time passed, and in the blink of an eye, 40 years had gone by. In the different space, the intense battle continued. More than half of the immortal kings of the reality universe were dead or wounded, and most of the rest were severely injured, while the GU immortal kings suffered significant losses in the fierce battle as well. Their numbers originally far exceeded those of the reality universe immortal kings, so now, even more remain. The battle dragged on for decades, and the Taoist energy within the reality universe's immortal kings was nearly depleted. They couldn't even use origin immortal skills. If it continued, they would have to rely on their immortal king bodies for melee combat. The GU immortal kings also consumed enormous amounts, but due to their sheer numbers, they had the absolute advantage even in melee. At this moment a scream echoed. The consciousness of the Crimson Immortal King was fading as he looked towards the direction of the scream. A giant over 10 meters tall was torn into several pieces by multiple GU Immortal Kings, and Immortal King blood splattered across the different space. The Crimson Immortal King sensed more GU demons approaching and forced himself to focus. Sweeping his gaze around, he understood he was nearing his limit. He exhaled lightly, somewhat dazed, as though seeing a vast crimson-colored galaxy where his red clan lived and trained under his protection, carefree. Sadly, just after entering the reality universe, he sensed the projection of his power and used a secret technique to learn of the current state of the Red Clan. It seemed all this could never return. Chapter 863, 407, Counterkill. Chapter 863-407, Counterkill. In the center of the different space, 5 immortal emperors were still resisting the attacks of the numerous GU immortal emperors and GU demon gods. Their aura had weakened significantly compared to before, and even the surrounding inner universe had dimmed greatly. However, their condition was much better than those at the immortal king level. If it were before, they might not have been able to hold on to this extent, but after absorbing and digesting the chaos chi, their strength increased enough to barely hold on. Even so, they remained heavy-hearted because the GU immortal emperors and GU demon gods were in better condition, and the pressure on them grew as their internal Taoist energy was consumed. How much longer can you hold on? 3 years, 5 years. In such a short time, what can that human do? If you choose to join us, you wouldn't have fallen into such a desperate situation. All of this is your choice. Accept your fate, and once we kill you, we'll wipe out the humans inside, start absorbing the chaos chi, and then transcend this Tao world. The voices of the GU demon gods and GU immortal emperors echoed, directly entering the minds of the immortal emperors, attempting to weaken their will and stir their despair. The immortal emperors remained calm, continuing to methodically resist the attacks. The Fate Immortal Emperor sneered coldly, "Don't bother with such petty tricks as these. What if we die? Join you filthy GU demons, dream on. HMPH, you might not be the ones laughing last." The GU immortal emperors and GU demon gods fell silent upon hearing this, resuming their fierce attacks, giving the immortal emperors no respite. Boom, 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 boom. Taoist energy surged within the different space, and the aftermath ravaged the area, tearing the space apart time and again, though the chaos chi shrouding the entire space blocked the impact from escaping. At this moment, the chaos chi began to tremble, as if forming into a monstrous wave, surging and spreading in all directions. Seeing this, all the cultivators in the different space were shaken. Then, behind the immortal emperors, the spherical chaos chi seemed to be absorbed by something within, slowly collapsing inwards, revealing a crimson golden shield behind the chaos chi. The chaos chi merged with the shield, making it progressively brighter and hotter. Even the nearby immortal emperors felt the terrifying heat from behind, their skin stinging slightly. Yet their expressions were filled with some delight. Is that guy okay now? Such an amount of chaos chi, to be absorbed just like that. The power of that savior must have increased significantly. While the immortal emperors were jubilant, the GU immortal emperors and GU demon gods' faces changed dramatically, growling as they intensified their attacks, aiming to break the defense of the immortal emperors and disrupt the enhancement of the human cultivator within the Crimson Shield as quickly as possible. Getting anxious. The pressure on the immortal emperors increased sharply, Yet in the face of such attacks, they showed smiles instead. Because the chance for a counterattack was about to appear. The Fate Immortal Emperor was hit by one dark pillar of light after another, coughing up blood repeatedly, yet wore a full smile. I see a change in fate, misfortune shrouds you. Noisy. The Jihu Immortal Emperors and Jihu Demon Gods yelled again, launching attacks that left the Fate Immortal Emperor coughing up blood. But even so, the Fate Immortal Emperor didn't retreat a step, borrowing power from the River of Fate, steadfastly guarding before the Crimson Shield. In the distant battlefield of Immortal Kings, the originally despairing Red Immortal King saw the Crimson Shield shining with brilliance and felt a shock in his heart, letting out a low roar as he squeezed his own origin, digging deeply into his potential, and facing the charging Jihu Immortal King with a renewed, fierce desire for survival. The Red Clan was gone, but he remained. As long as he existed, the Red Clan wasn't extinguished. He had to survive, to pass on the Red Clan once more. The already fierce battle between the two sides rose to a new level after the unprecedented change of the Crimson Shield. But such changes didn't last long. Merely a few months later, the Crimson Shield grew ever brighter, so much so that even the immortal emperors couldn't stay too close, or they might suffer severe burns. The faces of the Jihu Immortal Emperors and Jihu Demon Gods grew increasingly grave, their hearts more and more restless as they sensed the powerful presence from within the Crimson Shield. At this point, the shield slowly dissolved into clumps of crimson-golden flames, revealing the figure inside. Lu Yi sat cross-legged in the void, chaos chi swirling around him in strands. At his brow, the yin-yang Tao pattern flickered, the pattern more mysterious and complex than before, infused with the chaos Tao pattern. He slowly opened his eyes, chaos light flickered within them, his aura seemingly vanished into the different space, blending with the chaos chi, appearing just like an ordinary person. Yet the moment they saw Lu Yi, the Jihu Immortal Emperors and Jihu Demon Gods were all shocked, showing looks of astonishment. They had sensed a fatal threat. Lu Yi steadily calmed the surging chaos chi within him. With his current cultivation base, the amount of chaos chi he could fuse with had reached a limit. To continue fusing, he would have to wait until his power increased further. Chapter 864, 407 Counterkill 2. Chapter 864-407, Counterkill 2. Lu Yi's original plan was to come out of seclusion in about 50 years, but he had no choice but to emerge ahead of schedule. Even so, feeling the chaos chi surging within him and the power far surpassing his previous strength, Lu Yi was filled with confidence. He slowly lifted his head, scanning the surrounding different space, and all the scenes immediately appeared in his mind. Corpses were floating everywhere in the different space. Many immortal kings of the real universe had perished, with less than 20 still alive, though all 5 immortal emperors were still alive, albeit with extremely weak auras. Lu Yi quickly understood the situation and felt a bit relieved. Fortunately, he came out early because, judging by the current situation, in at most 5 years, the immortal emperors would be unable to resist the siege from the Jihu Immortal Emperors and Jihu Demons. By then, he might be the only survivor in the different space. After confirming the situation, Lu Yi looked towards his old friend, the humanoid Jihu Demon God he often encountered as an illusion on the Jihu battlefield. The humanoid Jihu Demon God noticed Lu Yi's gaze, his crimson eyes flickering frequently, surrounded by a surge of Jihu Chi, warily eyeing Lu Yi. Other Jihu Immortal Emperors and Jihu Demons were also watching Lu Yi with caution. At this moment, Lu Yi's body suddenly vanished, appearing behind the humanoid Jihu Demon God. The humanoid Jihu Demon God seemed unaware, still fixated on Lu Yi's original position. The next moment, cracks suddenly appeared all over the humanoid Jihu Demon God's body, increasing in number, with dark golden light emanating from the fractures, as if a dark golden sun was slowly rising from within. Only then did the other Jihu Demons and Jihu Immortal Emperors realize something was wrong. They looked towards the stationary humanoid Jihu Demon God and saw Lu Yi behind him, causing their souls to flee in terror. Instantly, they distanced themselves from Lu Yi and the humanoid Jihu Demon God, flying several light years away. A few breaths later, the humanoid Jihu Demon God, which had remained motionless, disintegrated into fragments and vanished without a trace under the devouring dark golden light, without causing even a ripple in the different space, not dispersing any aftermath. It was as if all the power had been devoured by the humanoid Jiu demon god, vanishing with his demise. Upon witnessing this scene, the entire different space fell into dead silence. Even the immortal emperors, Jiu immortal emperors, and Jiu demons were utterly shocked. The power Lu Yi displayed far surpassed the level of an immortal emperor. Although some immortal emperors had speculated, after all, chaos Qi is a power beyond the Tao world, and Lu Yi's absorption of so much chaos Qi meant his power should be extremely formidable. But they never expected such overwhelming strength that left them stunned. The Jiu demons and Jiu immortal emperors watched Lu Yi intently, already harboring thoughts of retreat. They attempted to gather together, but in the next moment, one Jiu demon, resembling a mass of flesh, was ignited by scarlet gold flames. The flames devoured the Jiu demon almost instantly, leaving no chance even to scream. Above Lu Yi's head floated a scarlet gold great bell, known as the Immortal Flame Emperor Bell. As Lu Yi absorbed the Chaos Qi, he also refined the Immortal Flame Emperor Bell, which now was a step away from becoming a Chaos Treasure, and under Lu Yi's significantly enhanced power, even a Jiu demon couldn't withstand it for a moment. Looking at where the vanished Jiu demon had been, the other Jiu immortal emperors and Jiu demons decisively retreated, transforming into streams of light, trying to escape the different space, seeking to flee. Yet they seemingly flew away from Lu Yi, but their bodies were continually drawn towards him. The Fate Immortal Emperor on the other side witnessed this, wide-eyed, involuntarily swallowing. It's the origin of destiny, no, it's the power of destiny, but it has already transcended the power of Tao origin. The Fate Immortal Emperor sensed that the Jiu demons and Jiu immortal emperors were surrounded by destiny. Their original fate of fleeing from Lu Yi altered to one of approaching him. Thus, as long as they intended to flee, as long as they made the motion to escape, they continuously drew closer to Lu Yi. Realizing this, the Jiu demons and Jiu immortal emperors made a decision and flew towards Lu Yi. However, to their astonishment, they still continued approaching Lu Yi. The Fate Immortal Emperor afar couldn't help but chuckle. Are these really the Jiu demons and Jiu immortal emperors who cornered us? Wouldn't the Savior lift the power of destiny? An immortal emperor beside him, observing the terrified expressions of the Jiu demons and Jiu immortal emperors, couldn't help but sigh. Like puppets, indeed. Other immortal emperors also nodded, expressions complex. It's worth noting, individually, these Jiu demons and Jiu immortal emperors matched them before absorbing the Chaos Qi, standing at the universe's pinnacle. And yet such powerful beings now seemed like puppets, utterly helpless. It was hard to fathom the immense power Lu Yi held now. Once again, the Jiu demons and Jiu immortal emperors halted, understanding they couldn't escape. Instantly, they either growled or roared in defiance, their auras surging, preparing to counterattack. Even a rabbit fights back when cornered. How much more so would beings at the level of an immortal emperor? However, scarlet gold flames erupted all over their bodies, and silently, they disappeared from sight, vanishing within the different space as if they'd never existed. Lu Yi turned, gazing towards the distant Jiu immortal kings. The Jiu immortal kings had been planning to flee earlier, but like the Jiu demons and Jiu immortal emperors, they were hindered by destiny, unable to escape, only being drawn closer to Lu Yi. As Lu Yi's gaze swept across, scarlet gold flames ignited throughout the different space, blooming like brilliant fire flowers within. Under these fiery blooms, all the Jiu immortal kings perished. In the entire different space, the only ones still alive were the immortal emperors and immortal kings of the real universe. Seeing Lu Yi instantly slay all the Jiu immortal kings, Jiu immortal emperors, and Jiu demons, all the immortal kings and immortal emperors were momentarily lost, as if in a dream. They never expected that the Jiu demons, who had driven them to such a dire state, were so easily slain by the human cultivator before them. And this human cultivator was currently just at the immortal king realm. As soon as they snapped out of it, the immortal emperors first returned to their senses and gathered beside Lu Yi. Their gazes at Lu Yi were of complex nature, containing gratitude, respect, admiration, and even dread. The Fate Immortal Emperor chuckled lightly. Indeed, Destiny's revelation was accurate. You are the Savior. The towering giant Immortal Emperor nodded. Thank you, fellow Taoist. Without you, the universe might have been devoured by the Jiu. Lu Yi smiled gently. You're welcome. The Jihu demons outside still need to be dealt with. We must leave quickly. Another female immortal emperor spoke. Lu Yi smiled. No need to rush, there's still something to do. Speaking, he surveyed the surroundings and slightly raised his left hand. In the next moment, a deep green flowing light flashed, and one by one, figures coalesced. These were the fallen immortal kings who had perished in the previous battle. Lu Yi used the natural origin to resurrect them. The newly resurrected immortal kings looked somewhat dazed, and the originally living immortal kings and immortal emperors were equally bewildered, astonished that even beings at the immortal king level could be resurrected. Exchanging looks, they were at a loss for words. In the silence, Lu Yi smiled. You can leave here now. As Lu Yi spoke, the inner universe's projection gradually disappeared, and the surging chaos qi dissipated along with it, restoring the different space to its original form. Lu Yi took the lead, stepping out of the different space, returning to the real universe. Chapter 865-408, Going Home, the end of the book. Chapter 865-408, Going Home, the end of the book. The reality universe. The 40-year-long Great War continues unabated. Although the array plate of the Tao Immortal array left by Lu Yi slaughters the Jihu demons, their numbers are just too many. Even the Tao Immortal array cannot completely block the dark fog, and numerous Jihu demons charge out from the black mist, entering the universe to engage in battle with the immortal kings and cultivators of the reality universe beneath them. Since the Jihu demon gods and Jihu immortal emperors capable of breaking through the Jihu channel have been led to a different space by the humanoid Jihu demon prior, this results in the sky falling star domain being the only domain that has a connection channel with the Jihu world, while Jihu demons in other star domains remain unable to break out from the Jihu battlefield, which is considered a blessing among misfortunes. When the black mist appeared, and Lu Yi entered the different space with the humanoid Jihu demon, Yu Cheng notified the powerhouses of other star domains, requesting their assistance. The powerhouses who stayed behind all sent messages to their respective star domains as well. They originally came to the sky falling star domain hoping they could cross the threshold of Immortal King through the teachings of Lu Yi, but unexpectedly, they ended up directly joining the fight as the Jihu demons invaded the reality universe due to a twist of fate. This is what all cultivators feel fortunate about. If not for the presence of enough powerhouses from various star domains in this place, the current Jihu demons would have already spread across the entire sky falling star domain and started eroding towards other star domains. When the Jihu demons reached their star domains, it would already be too late. Now, with the united effort of powerhouses from major star domains and Yu Cheng, along with other immortal kings cooperating with the array patterns of the Tao Immortal array left by Lu Yi, they are barely holding the line in the sky falling star domain. Although fierce battles erupt everywhere and cultivators are dying all over, the situation still counts as a barely manageable defense. Outside the black mist, Yu Cheng holds an array plate, suppressing 3 immortal king-level Jihu demons, his face somewhat pale. As a strong person of immortal king level, the decades-long continuous battle has taken a tremendous toll, nearly injuring his origin. This is despite the fact that the array plate of the Tao Immortal array can be powered by the star core and star marrow, sparing him from much energy consumption. Otherwise, Yu Cheng wouldn't have been able to hold on. His gaze sweeps over other areas where Yu Xuanyi, Yu Yunqing, Yu Ying, and other Yu family seniors each hold an array plate, suppressing immortal king-level Jihu demons. Currently, the number of Jihu immortal kings has reached over 30, all flying out from the black mist one after another. This number presents enormous pressure to Yu Cheng and others, yet they feel some degree of relief within. Based on their understanding of the Jihu world, there should be far more immortal kings in Jihu world than just this. Now that 40 years have passed, only these few Jihu immortal kings have emerged, which is undoubtedly great news to them. Though they don't know why only these few Jihu immortal kings have broken out from Jihu world, it isn't important. Yu Cheng even hopes no more Jihu immortal kings will break out from Jihu world ever. However, judging from the current situation, this seems impossible. Besides the possibly emerging Jihu immortal kings in the future, there's another highly troublesome issue. The energy consumption of the array plate of the Tao Immortal array is extremely vast, and even though the Yu family has stood atop the sky falling star domain for eons, storing a massive amount of star marrow and star core, along with the reserves left by Lu Yi, The amount is substantial. However, despite this, they can foresee that in at most a few more decades, all the star marrow and star core will be depleted. Even with the support from the top forces of other star domains, it might not sustain for too long. When all stored star core and star marrow are exhausted, and the array plate loses its function, that would mark the doomsday of the sky-falling star domain. The only hope they cling to now is that Lu Yi can return and do so bearing victory before the energy is completely depleted. Only in this way would they have hope of survival. Yu Cheng's eyes sweep over the surrounding battlefield. More and more cultivators of the reality universe are dying, and the number of Jihu demons is increasing, the immense pressure weighing heavily on his heart. He cannot help but let out a breath, his eyes filled with fatigue. On the distant battlefield, Jiang Fan and other practitioners of the Tiananmen Star receive the care of Yu family practitioners. Their battlefield is not as terrifying as other regions but still exceedingly brutal. Decades of battle have left Jiang Fan and others physically and mentally exhausted. Their expressions have turned hazy. Beside him, Feng Buming wields the acquired spirit treasure longsword given by Lu Yi, swinging a golden sword light thousands of kilometers long. The sword light is grand and majestic, as Feng Buming, after breaking through to the immortal level, according to Lu Yi's teachings, infused the Emperor's sword intent and sword Tao law to autonomously comprehend the sword Tao immortal skill, the Emperor Immortal Slaying Sword. This is Feng Buming's pride, and during past years, it has helped him kill numerous strong foes during his training. Feng Buming always believed his sword was sharp enough, but now he thinks his sword is too dull. Even if he exerted all his strength, he still couldn't kill the golden immortal level Jihu demons. If not for his companions beside him, he might have died countless times already. Yet watching old friends die one by one beside him, Feng Buming feels immense sorrow, resorting only to numbly swinging his sword, repelling Jihu demons time and time again. Similarly, the Thunder Sound Saintess, Tei Saint Sun, and others beside him have similar experiences. All their expressions are heavy. The continuous battles and the death of companions bring pain that even leaves their expressions in a daze. Chapter 866, 408, Going Home, the End of the Book 2. Chapter 866, Chapter 408, Going Home, the End of the Book /2. Yu Yuanwu and a few others were together. Not far from them was Yu Hangguang, who had already broken through to the immortal monarch realm. Yu Hangguang wielded the Tao immortal array plate, occasionally aiding Yu Yuanwu and the others. It was precisely because of Yu Hangguang's care that Yu Yuanwu and the others could live well, and hadn't died. I wonder how junior brother Lu Yi is doing. After repelling a golden immortal Jihu demon with one strike, Jiang Fan gasped for breath, his hands trembling. The water law patterns around him were already a bit dim, uncertain how much longer he could hold on. He will definitely be all right. He's created so many miracles, this time will surely be no exception. Thunder Sound Saintess asserted definitely. The eyes of others were equally resolute, all believing Lu Yi could defeat the human-shaped Jihu demon god. However, what they were not sure about was whether they would survive until then. Just then a crack appeared in the space on the battlefield, and Lu Yi and others flew out. As soon as they emerged, Lu Yi's gaze swept over, and the Jihu demons he saw immediately vaporized, leaving only traces of golden red flames slowly dissipating at their location. The cultivators fighting in the real universe were stunned, looking at the golden red flames with some bewilderment, not knowing what had happened for a moment. In the distance, Yu Cheng and others were suppressing immortal king-level Jihu demons with their array plates. Seeing the Jihu immortal king and the great array suddenly vaporize, they were equally perplexed, completely unaware of what had transpired. Amidst their astonishment, a figure abruptly appeared beside them. It was Lu Yi. Upon seeing Lu Yi, Yu Cheng and others were suddenly overjoyed. "Year, did you defeat that Jihu demon god?" "Ha ha ha, I knew you, D certainly manage it, Year." "Wonderful, since Year can defeat one Jihu demon god, he can defeat the second, the third. By then, the Jihu world will no longer pose a threat to us." As they were excited, several other figures appeared suddenly at the side. These figures appeared so suddenly that Yu Cheng and others were startled, their eyes wide in shock. They realized they couldn't discern the aura of these newly arrived figures at all. Lu Yi then smiled. "Several ancestors, there are no more Jihu demon gods left, they've all been slain." The atmosphere fell silent at once, leaving everyone astonished. They looked at each other, momentarily unable to accept it. All slain, no more Jiu demon gods. How is that possible? Was there not only one Jiu demon god emerging from the Jiu world? Yu Cheng questioned repeatedly, his voice a little shaky from excitement. Lu Yi smiled faintly and briefly recounted what had transpired. Upon hearing that the few beside Lu Yi were immortal emperors who had entered the Jiu world years ago, and that Lu Yi single-handedly slew all Jiu demon gods and Jiu immortal emperors, Yu Cheng and others even thought they were dreaming. It was too wonderful. Originally, they thought this fierce battle would continue for a long time, that more Jiu demon gods would emerge from the black mist. Now they were actually dead. Only now did Yu Cheng and others somewhat understand why so few Jiu immortal kings emerged from the black mist. It turned out most Jiu immortal kings had entered the different space. Yu Cheng and others had expressions of bewilderment, joy, and confusion. After all, resisting the Jiu demons for millions of years had nearly carved this duty into their bones. Now, being told the Jiu demons were no longer a threat, Yu Cheng and others were momentarily unsure how to respond. Lu Yi did not say much, wanting Yu Cheng and others to have some quiet time, as they spent nearly their whole lives fighting Jiu demons. Now that the burden was gone, it was hard for them to accept. He raised his hand, natural origin surging, reviving all real universe cultivators who had fallen in battle earlier. After finishing this, Lu Yi turned to look at the dense black mist. In his eyes, strands of chaos chi flowed. Just a trace of chaos chi emanated, instantly purifying large swathes of black mist, revealing the original starry sky. Soon, the black mist completely dissipated, leaving only a giant void, from the other side of which Jiu Qi continuously seeped out. Over there was the Jiu world. Lu Yi exchanged glances with several immortal emperors nearby, then stepped into the Jiu world. Upon entering the Jiu world, Lu Yi's gaze swept across, vaporizing all Jiu demons near the channel. Fate Immortal Emperor exhaled softly, looking at the familiar Jiu world, said, "The Jiu world is a projection of the real world. As long as the real world exists, the Jiu world will not disappear." Lu Yi nodded slightly, having speculated somewhat since absorbing the chaos chi upon entering the Jiu world. He chuckled lightly. "Though the Jiu world will not disappear, we can purify the Jiu Qi to a certain extent, slay all Jiu demons. If so, then for a long time, Jiu demons will pose no threat to the real universe." The immortal emperors all nodded. "That's what we thought as well. In that case, let's act separately. As the Jiu world is as vast as the real world, achieving this task would take quite some time." Everyone dispersed, with chaos chi surging around Lu Yi, beginning to purify the Jiu Qi. Jiu Qi is the dark side of Taoist energy, incapable of complete purification, but Lu Yi can suppress Jiu Qi to a very low level. Thus, it would take an unknown amount of time for Jiu Qi to give birth to Jiu demons again. As for the Jiu demons encountered, all were slain by Lu Yi. Time passed, and after a full 100 years, Lu Yi and the immortal emperors finally purified the entire Jiu world. Now in the Jiu world, only extremely faint Jiu Qi leaked out, without the eerie whispers. After glancing back at the Jiu world, Lu Yi and others returned to the real universe. Later, Lu Yi completely repaired the channel space, and regarding other Jiu channels, he had completed the repairs during the purification process, making this the best channel. After finishing all this, Lu Yi felt a sense of relaxation. He exchanged glances with the immortal emperors, then they all started to laugh, their laughter growing louder and more carefree. With this, the threat from Jiu is also considered over. Fate Immortal Emperor's expression was quite complex. He chuckled lightly. "Through fate, I see the Fate clan's end, which is unfortunate, but as long as I exist, the Fate clan will not perish. Our races appear to be similar to yours." The Immortal Emperors sighed and shook their heads, their expressions somewhat complex. Giant Immortal Emperor in his booming voice said, "I will leave to see the relics of the past." "Since that's the case, then depart." The only female immortal emperor slowly spoke. At this moment Lu Yi smiled and said, "Dear seniors, this is the chaos chi, as I promised you before." Lu Yi divided 3 strands of chaos chi among each individual. Seeing a full 3 strands of chaos chi, the many immortal emperors were momentarily stunned, but they didn't refuse and collected the chaos chi. Fate Immortal Emperor chuckled lightly. "You call us seniors, but we can't bear it. Your strength surpasses ours, and I presume it won't take long for you to transcend." The others nodded in agreement. "Let's regard each other as fellow companions. Perhaps it won't be long before we look up to you." "Really enviable." Lu Yi smiled, then spoke. "In that case, fellow Taoists, travel safely. You can visit the Tiananmen star system when free." Many immortal emperors nodded, transforming into streaks of light, disappearing into the vast vacuum. Watching them vanish, the yin-yang Tao pattern on Lu Yi's forehead shimmered, transforming into Liu Ningxuang and several others. Lu Yi glanced over their beautifully charming faces and smiled slightly. "Let's go home." They all broke into smiles. "Okay." End of the book.